Nico in the house on a Tuesday night. How you doing, buddy? Love seeing that handsome face of yours on camera as always. I don't love the Niners banner, but you're loud and proud, but you're also realistic about your own team.
I try to be. I don't want to be too big of a homer and, bet with my heart, but doing good on a Tuesday night in June, ready to talk some values. If you're drafting now, welcome to the Degenerates Club that we are proud members of, possibly president, vice president. We'll see. But it's getting exciting already, man. I'm getting ready to roll, dude.
2.5 months. So this is undervalued offenses. This is going to tie into some real life stuff, but mostly for fantasy. We're going to go into these teams that, are being slept on based on their players, ADPs, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, all that good stuff. And teams that could take a giant leap. Spoiler alert, a team like the Colts who, lost some people, Daniel Jones, Achilles injury, their ADPs are really fair and people are not buying in on the Colts. And if they have even 90% of what they were last year when Daniel Jones was healthy, these guys are all going to be values. And we're going to try to find those values for you guys and kind of have a general discussion about these teams, what can go right, what can go wrong. Before we get into that, Nico, let's talk a couple of recent stuff. I have some news.
Guys, I've got news. I've got terrible news.
So this is exactly what I wanted a vacation from.
There are 2 guys in this church that are gay.
Who's the other guy?
I don't get the joke.
Yeah, he's never gonna understand. What's wrong with that?
All right, we got some news, some player news, some notes. I want to get Nick O's opinion on. I'm going to go back a couple days as well with some news we talked about. I want to get your opinion on this. But RJ Harvey had surgery after the AFC Championship game loss. They draft Jonah Coleman, and now it makes more sense. RJ Harvey wasn't exactly great last year. Very inefficient. Good as a receiver, not great between the tackles. J.K. Dobbins, we all assume they drafted Jonah Coleman as a J.K. Dobbins replacement or at least like insurance. But how do you see this? Are you worried about Harvey's early season availability? Are you worried about like the team viewing him as a bell cow, even though he's not viewed as a bell cow? But if something happens to Dobbins, would they even give Harvey the role after this?
I don't think that it would just be Harvey's role. I'm not too concerned about a labrum. That's not an injury that's going to slow anyone down or inhibit any kind of movement or lateral movement, where you're not talking these knee issues or what have you. But he did leave a little bit to be desired. He leaves some meat on the bone when he was running between the tackles, in my opinion. I think as long as Dobbins is healthy, he's the early down back in that backfield. But we all know that Dobbins absolutely can never play an entire season and stay healthy the whole time. And because they know Harvey is not the Dobbins replacement, that's the logic behind bringing a rookie in that it fits more of the Dobbins type. And I think eventually it can take over that entire backfield. I'm not super impressed with RJ Harvey's history so far. You've seen Sean Payton kind of want to run one guy at times, but you also see him kind of work with what the hand deals him when it comes at running back. So it's hard to predict what Payton's going to do in a certain situation at running back. But the Broncos are one of those teams that I almost considered for this list too, because the unknowns are what lead to values. When you don't have a clear one, everybody kind of gets pushed down. And if you think you see a lane where one of them is going to stand out, then that's what builds your value in. So for me, like Dobbins is just going way too late right now. I think and as long as he's healthy and you can't predict health and whatever else, I think he's the first and second down back. Harvey's the passing down guy, and they start rotating in as needed or as they wear down. Hopefully, keep them fresh.
Yeah, Jonah Coleman's the unknown, and then the workload of RJ Harvey is unknown. And you mentioned the Sean Payton thing, which is a great point. And, Alvin Kamara became that every down back. But go back to the Mark Ingram days when Alvin Kamara was in his prime. They were giving Mark Ingram a healthy dose of, 45% snaps. It's just Kamara was always an elite option because he was catching 81 balls a year. And Alvin Kamara is an all-time talent. I think I'm not over-exaggerating that, right? Alvin Kamara is an all-time pass-catching talent, at least. Dynamic, tied with Drew Brees, too. It was a perfect marriage there.
His change of direction ability and the way he can catch the ball, soft hands, just absolutely phenomenal talent, I think. He was one of my favorite running backs for a really long time, especially in PPR formats. Dude just crushed. But he's not built for, ramming it up the middle 3-4 yards at a time. And Ingram sure was. And you saw the goal line touches. I mean, Ingram had how many touchdowns that one year in his prime? I want to say it was double-digit touchdowns, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 12 touchdowns, and Kamara scored like 10 and had his 81 catches. I think Kamara started out his career with 3 straight years with exactly 81 catches. And pound for pound, Alvin Kamara might be one of the hardest tackles. Not because he was, he was powerful for his size, but he was just so shifty, and his like contact balance was unreal. Just the word is slippery. Alvin Kamara was so damn slippery. And it's like, how did he get out of this? How did he get out of these 2 tackles, arm tackles, some guy going at his knees? It was awesome. I love Alvin Kamara, and I made a lot of money in my career off people kind of fading him based on the fact he wasn't a true workhorse. But he was a guy he needed 220 touches, 240 touches, and he would make do with that. All right, next news nugget here for you. George Pickens, this is a quote from him, which let's take this with a grain of salt, but said he will not hold out or hold in at training camp. So essentially he's saying, yeah, guys, I am going to play under the franchise tag. And do you believe this? And what do you feel about George Pickens this year, as regardless of this stupid report? Like, do you believe that George Pickens is a wide receiver 1 this year?
I do believe the report. Pickens has nothing to gain and everything to lose for coming out and saying this if it's not true. He's going to bet on himself again. We saw him do it last year. He's going to go out there and perform and get a bag. When him and CD are both healthy, it's hard to know who's going to be the one. You saw him show up a little bit more when CD was banged up. And the fact that I have such a hard time on any team, whether it's this or the Bengals, with 2 guys finishing in the top 12 at receiver, and how far down Dak is fallen at this point is crazy to me. So one of them's got to fall out of wide receiver 1. I don't think they both can finish there. And it may be, Cowboy fans probably don't want to hear this, and TD, wherever you are tonight, man, cover your ears, man, earmuffs. It may be Pickens gets a long-term deal and CD gets moved after this year. If Pickens shows out and they go with the younger guy and he is the wide receiver 1 and they do commit to him, that feels like a very Jerry Jones-esque move.
That's a mistake.
I'm not saying that's what they should do. I'm saying that's what I could see them doing if Pickens shows out this year, betting on himself.
So who do you like more at ADP? So we have CeeDee Lamb going in the end of the first round. We have George Pickens going at the end of the second round. George Pickens going wide receiver 10. CeeDee Lamb going wide receiver 5. Who do you like more at ADP?
That early in the draft, I am risk averse, and I want to go with the safer player in CD with what I know, and a guy that is going to be committed to the team and the game and not have any of the side issues that you may be presented with Pickens. So I'm going to take it, but more often than not, or if this is later in the draft, I'd rather go with a guy that's later. If they're going to be close to finishing to each other, the better value is the guy going later. It's just Pickens is a knucklehead, right? He's a bit of a wild card. So you're not going to see that out of CD. CD's just going to go out and do his job and grind. And in the first couple rounds, that's what I like.
I think I'm about CeeDee Lamb and PPR just because he's going to have that role, that super valuable, almost not quite a Puka Nacua role, but he's the move wide receiver. George Pickens is better in half PPR. I feel like he has more touchdown upside, at least touchdown upside based on his ADP. But I'm also taking running back in that range in half PPR, even in full PPR. So I think I'm out on George Pickens this year. I was all in on George Pickens last year. He was a 6th-round pick. Now we're talking about the contract questions. Like, I would sure hope he wouldn't pull the game and a half stretch where he was pouting and he quit on football. Like, I hope he wouldn't do that this year because there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. Other teams, the Cowboys as well, like trying to see if they want to re-sign him.
He's auditioning. He's in a job interview, right? He should be on his best behavior. His tie's going to be straight. He's going to look good, and he's going to handle his business is what I think. I just don't know. I mean, that defense is going to struggle again. They're going to put up a lot of 40 burgers, and I don't think Dak's lost anything with his arm or his ability to read the field, and they're bringing Javonte back at running back. So I guess there's a world where they both finish where they did last year.
I mean, we hope he doesn't pull this again, but like, this is a weird comparison, but we've seen people in real life, people with alcohol problems where it's like, okay, they really need this job and they go back to the bottle. Like George Pickens needs his contract, but he has generational money already. I mean, I know he can make a lot more, but look at Brandon Ayuk. I'm not going to compare him to Brandon Ayuk just yet, but like Brandon Ayuk has just pissed away money right now. He continues to do so with these posts. Like George Pickens is much closer to Brandon Ayuk than he is Larry Fitzgerald in terms of a personality. He's not a pro. He's never been a pro. Now, maybe he becomes one, but that's just another reason to kind of be off George Pickens is there is the unknown. There's the upside you can make that he should be on his best behavior. It's the Kyler Murray argument I make for this year with the Vikings. Like, this is the year for Kyler Murray or it's over. I don't think it's over for George Pickens if he fucks up, but he will cost himself a little bit of money. And this should be the year that George Pickens grows up, throws some blocks, hustles, even though it's a running play or he's not, it's a CeeDee Lamb route or it's a Ryan Flournoy. This is going to be a one-on-one go ball. Don't go through the motions, George Pickens, because we've seen that too many times. If he's ever going to grow up, it's this year, right? We hope so. That's the upside of George Pickens.
I agree. Getting a year older, as well as in that locker room with CeeDee, right? He's not in the locker room where he can be the man with all the attention. He's not the big dog in that wide receiver room where Lamb is, and he's learning how to act from Lamb, and he did okay in his contract the year before. It was a little touch and go, but I think he's going to be all right. I'm just risk averse in my first couple picks in redraft. That's all.
Same. All right. This one's very interesting. So this was a couple days ago. Malik Willis, the Miami Herald's Omar Kelly Blues Dolphins quarterback Malik Willis is the Dolphins player who needs the most work. On the Dolphins, he needs the most work, and I get he's a raw prospect. He's still a raw player. He's still a young player, rather inexperienced, but that is a crazy statement. That's like saying this fat guy at fat camp has the most weight to lose. That's not good. If you go anywhere else, okay, this guy's fat, but at fat camp, they're all fat. The Dolphins are all trash, and they all have a lot to work on. They're all super young, besides A-Chain, and Greg Dulcich. None of those players are proven. This is insane. This is just a beat report, but why would the beat reporter put this out? Is this something of note, or is this just nothing to you?
I feel like it's a little bit of clickbait. It seems to be going a little extreme on their take, and everyone wants to get their name out there and get people to read their articles and share things like this. But at the same time, Willis is so unproven, and in Tennessee did practically nothing. And Green Bay showed a little bit of flash, and now you've got Green Bay South bringing him down. I think he's a stopgap, and they're going to be drafting very high next year anyway. So he's either going to be the backup down there after this, and they're not too concerned. And it's the I don't know what the saying is this year, man. Saying that you're gonna tank for Arch, but I can't think of what rhymes with Arch. Shit, I don't know.
I'm parched, something like that. I mean,
you're gonna be a shitbag team. You have half of the money that every other team has this year. I mean, literally half of their salary cap is tied up in people who aren't there anymore. There's no way they're going to be competitive, and I don't see. Willis is in such a bad situation. I don't think it's going to be on him or on anyone else. He's going to be bad. I think that team's going to be bad. He's not going to have the group around him. I mean, outside of his running back, I don't know what else he has to lean on down there. And so, of course, it looks like he needs work. Everybody does. You have, man, it's like a D-list movie, dude. It's never going to compare.
And you mentioned there's nothing around him. The writing's on the wall here with the Chris Bell pick, which we like Chris Bell out of Louisville, but he's a guy coming off an ACL. What are you going to get out of him this year? They didn't take they didn't take Omar Cooper. They didn't take a pro-ready receiver. And I don't think that Chris Bell's pro-ready, even if he was healthy, but they took a project that's coming off an ACL. That is a pick for 2027. So that, without all the salary cap stuff, this is a rough situation. I still do like Malik Willis for fantasy because it's going to be a lot of rushing yards, a lot of garbage time, which is nice. But it's not elite level stuff. But you're not getting him, it's quarterback 21. One last point here.
Bortles effect, right?
Yeah, Blake Bortles had an awesome year. So the Zach Charbonnet news, it is all roses right now, where we were left in the dark, and they kept on referencing week 10 for Zach Charbonnet, week 9, he'll play at some point this season. Now we're saying there's a chance he plays week 1. How do you see this backfield shaking out?
I have a hard time believing that he plays week 1. I feel like there's a little bit of coach speak here, a little bit of gamesmanship involved with this. But hypothetically, let's say he does play week 1. It's a 50-50 timeshare. Price is a good running back. They took him where they did for a reason. They want to use him. You saw how they deployed Charbonnet and Walker historically, and they're not going to just lean on any one running back. And in today's NFL especially, nobody does it. And you can't do it. Guys can't seem to stay healthy doing it. So if he's healthy, it's 50-50. I think it's more like a 60, 30, 10. I think you're going to get 10% of the carries by, I don't even know the third running back there right now, if I'm being honest.
Emmanuel Wilson and George Helani. There's two other guys there. They like George Helani as a good third down back and pass protection. They trusted him in the Super Bowl. And then they brought in Wilson for a reason. Wilson's a bowling ball, and he looked pretty good last year in relief of Josh Jacobs. So, I'm thinking that one of those two guys will carve out a nice little role. And now we're talking a 3-way committee. Mm-hmm. I'm out on all these guys. I think that Charbonnet is going so much later, running back 44. I know that'll tick up if the news is positive, but the Jadarian Price thing, I was way off. People have been taking him in best ball in the 5th round, and I'm just like, I would take him in the 8th. When I'm 3 rounds off on a guy, I am very confident, at least that I would not, I'm not going to have any shares. I'm off. Like, that's such a big ADP difference. And maybe I'm a little low on the guy. I understand rookies and upside, but no one's factoring in the downside. And one thing we weren't even thinking about was that Zach Charbonnet might play week 1. I was saying if I thought that Charbonnet was playing week 10, I was still not drafting Jadarian Price in the 5th round. Now I'm hearing this. We have a possible, let's just call it week 4 he comes back. Let's say he just misses 4 weeks even. Like, that's not 10 weeks. 10 weeks is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, 10 is huge. And like
so, yeah, I am out on all these guys. I think Charbonnet would be the value, but I was, kind of in on drafting Emmanuel Wilson in best ball just for the first 10 weeks, the perceived first 10 weeks. And I felt like that would have been a 50-50 with Holane mixing in. But now it's like you can't really draft Emmanuel Wilson. I mean, this is just a really murky situation that I just want to stay away from. I think in redraft, I'm fine with taking Charbonnet. And if for some reason, which it probably won't happen, if I can start getting Price in the 9th round, if they start going back to back, now I'll take a shot in the younger guy not coming off an ACL. But there is just no way the community is going to allow. They're going to draft the rookie high. It's just they did it last year with Caleb Johnson, right? Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, it's that shiny new toy syndrome, the what if, and everyone gets all excited about it. But there's no chance that I'm going to take Price at his price when I can have Charbonnet that much later. And if Charbonnet starts week 1, he's the known commodity. He's the guy that knows the offense. He's the guy that they trust. He's the guy that already has a rapport with Darnold, and you're getting him for way less. That's what I mentioned earlier. Typically, I'm going to go for the guy that the 1B, the guy that's close, that's going later, just because there's more value baked in. So Charbonnet that late, if he's ready week 1, I'd jump all over that.
Damn straight. Okay, let's get to the undervalued offenses. We have a couple that we both had on our list. You sent me your list, and I had a couple of these names on there. So there's 3 teams here. Let's start at the top, and these are teams we love for being undervalued. Jacksonville Jaguars, number 1. They were 13-4 last year. They scored 474 points. Liam Cohen's first year. Trevor Lawrence looked great. It was a great offense, and their defense was pretty decent as well. I'm going to read you these ADPs, and we'll talk through this. So Trevor Lawrence, quarterback 10. Bayshell Tootin, running back 26. Chris Rodriguez, running back 36. We have Brian Thomas, wide receiver 33. Parker Washington, wide receiver 35. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 45. So the wide receivers are all depressed in value because people don't know who to take. They're some guys like some people like Parker Washington, some people like Brian Thomas. You still have those Jacoby Myers bros taking the cheapest guy there. And the running backs are both outside the top 24. So both outside the starting range. And Trevor Lawrence is barely inside top 12. So this is an undervalued offense that really clicked last year. So what makes it undervalued for you?
There's a number of guys there that are going way later than they should. They're definitely going to finish ahead of where they're getting drafted right now. The thing for me, and spoiler alert, you're going to hear this from me a lot tonight, is the either second year in an offense or an offensive play caller that I think is a game changer or a difference maker that's proven in the league, and guys that you just don't know how it's going to shake out because things are changing or because things are new. So it's where you can bake that value in. But for me, like you said, it's a second year in Cohen's offense. I expect T-Law to be even better. He had a year that I thought was coming for a long time last year. I was a big T-Law truther for quite a while, and glad to finally see it coming together. I threw his first year out because he didn't even have an NFL head coach. And then after that, he continued to change coordinators and coaches. I think T-Law is valued right about where he should be. He might finish a couple spots higher than that. The biggest one for me, and like a plant my flag PP player type of guy, is Jacoby Myers. I think Myers did enough for the Raiders to show that he can be a wide receiver 1, that he can be relied on. He separates enough to get open, and that to me right now, that's the steal of the Jaguars. That's the guy that I'm in love with. That's what I wanted him in Dynasty. Tom and I both did. There's a world where I'm like, man, as the season gets closer, if Myers' value stays down, I might try and trade for him in Dynasty. Even given his age, I think he's going to have a few years on that offense to where he's going to be able to show out and be the one. I like what Parker Washington did at the end of the year. And again, if you continue to grow and build on that, he should be the 2 there. And Brian Thomas is what a letdown. You've seen it from him before, but you haven't seen it recently. I try to stay away from recency bias as much as I can, but they went out and got Jacoby Myers for a reason. I don't know that this regime
that was a Travis Hunter thing, though. That was not a Brian Thomas thing.
That I don't know that they trust Brian Thomas going forward either.
All right, I got some stats for you here. So I want to look at the end of the season snap share wise. This is also Brian Thomas playing hurt. Parker Washington was coming into his own, and then this one Jacoby Myers was really cooking. So I'm going to give you from week 13 on for each of these players. Myers, this is going to help your argument. Myers, 92%, 83%, 87%, 86%, 94%. He was the one there. Parker Washington, who we're going to get to in a second, 38%, 45%, 56%, 81%. Brian Thomas, 75, 83, 77, 73, 78. So it appeared that Jacoby Myers, he was the snap leader there. Last year, though, the Jaguars were, I think, top 5 in playing 3 wide receiver sets. I think the Jaguars and the Chargers notably were up there. This year, they're going to play more heavy personnel. They've already said it. They drafted a tight end in the second round, a blocking tight end. So my question to you is, who is playing in 12 personnel? Who is playing in 2 wide receiver sets? I know my answer.
It's really tough for me, man. It really is. And I don't like it because Brian Thomas as a rookie is the guy that I was huge on. He was one of my favorite coming out in that class. And he wasn't the consensus number 1. And I want to stand behind him, and I want to stand behind his ability. I'm afraid it's Myers and Washington at this point. I think BTJ gets moved.
Like traded?
Yep.
Well, to who? They would have done it already.
They weren't using him for a reason. And if you're not going to run 3 wide receiver sets, you're going to move somebody.
He was hurt last year. You're not acknowledging the fact he was hurt last year?
No, I acknowledge it, but it was more than just being hurt in the games.
Yeah, he was awful. He was awful. Downright awful. But he was equally as great his rookie year. So what's the real Brian Thomas? I think it's somewhere in the middle. But somewhere in the middle is a better player than Jacoby Myers. And as much as I love Parker Washington's a slot player. He is. And they'd be doing a disservice. So I think my answer is who's playing in 2 wide receiver sets. For me, it's Brian Thomas for sure. Now, they will rotate them in general. But I think the majority snap player in 2 wide receiver sets is Brian Thomas. You need that athleticism, someone to take the top off the defense, which Parker Washington can do a little bit. Jacoby Myers can't really do. He is an intermediate guy. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's going to be Jacoby Myers and then Parker Washington rotating in. I think this snap share seems pretty true. Parker Washington is one of those guys that makes the most out of his snaps, right? He's targeted very high per route run because he doesn't run a lot of routes. They also love him as a punt returner. So for me, Brian Thomas is the easy pick here because I'm shooting for upside. I know Myers is going the latest. I just don't know what's the upside in Jacoby Myers. He finishes wide receiver 29. He's going wide receiver 45. That's probably his upside because they're all going to cannibalize each other. I just think Brian Thomas, I've seen him do it. Mind you, it was with Mac Jones. He hasn't done very well with Trevor Lawrence in his career, but they're going to utilize him better. Trevor Lawrence needs to improve his downfield passing, all these things. Brian Thomas has wide receiver 1 potential. We've seen it. And wide receiver 32 is a crazy value to me. Another reason, go ahead.
It is a good value, and I'm not trying to take anything away from his ability. He's a good player. He's a good receiver. I just haven't, like you said, seen T-Law target him. I haven't seen him utilize him there. Cohen ran a lot of 3 wide receiver sets in Tampa Bay, but I understand the focus of the NFL is shifting to these heavier sets. I don't know that Cohen. I get who they drafted, and I get what he says, but I think they're still going to be towards the top of the league with 3 wide receiver sets, and I think Washington has the type of speed that is able to take the top off of those defenses and is able to keep them honest a little bit. Myers is the guy underneath making catches. He's going to be low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3. And if I can get him as my 3, I'm ecstatic. If he's my 2, I'm a little nervous, depending on format and roster construction, obviously.
So you're not going to be taking Brian Thomas this year is what I'm hearing.
No, man, not where he's going. I'd rather wait.
He's going almost outside of the top 36.
I'd rather wait and take the other 2. The only reason I'm taking Thomas is if I think he's on a different team.
Well, two different takes here, and that's what we like to do around here. We don't like to just have one goddamn opinion. Let's talk about the running backs. Bayshell Tootin, RB 26, C-Rod, Chris Rodriguez, running back 36. Now, there was that undisclosed injury. It seemed to be a foot injury. Seems to be minor. They were just being, holding him out as a precaution. I think this is a true three-headed monster with LaQuint Allen being the passing down, specifically the third and long guy. He's such a good pass protector. The upside's got to be with Bayshell Tootin, but the value's got to be Chris Rodriguez, right? What, running back 36? He's almost outside the running back threes. It's almost a running back 4.
Yeah, and I get the familiarity with the offense, and they're bringing in Dare Guy and Rodriguez, but I'm concerned that I saw enough of him at the Commanders to know that he's never going to be a 3-down back, and Tootin hasn't proven anything yet. He was sprinkled in and cut into Etienne. What are we calling him on this pod?
I'm calling him Etienne. I'm calling him Etienne.
You can't change your name this late. Like A-Chain changed his, a couple years in? I can buy that and call you A-Chan, right? But that ETN looks nothing like it. That'd be like if you wanted to pronounce your last name like Chimones. I'd be like, what?
Yeah, Chimones.
It's not Chimones. Like,
I can do what I want. It's my show. This is the last reason. This is more of a broad stroke kind of thing. Why I'm all about this offense being undervalued and possibly going nuclear. This could be one of those fantasy circus teams where the recipe is a good offense with a horrible defense. I don't think his defense is going to be horrible, but losing Devin Lloyd is a major issue. They also lost Greg Newsome, who's a very good corner. But I went back and I looked. Remember the 3 games Devin Lloyd missed in the middle of the season last year?
I do not specifically.
It was week 7 through week 10. They had a bye week mix in there. But they gave up 100 points in those 3 games. And you're like, okay, maybe they faced good offenses. I'm going to give you the teams they played. They played, what's insane? I'm giving this awesome information. There's fucking 6 people in here missing out on this awesome information. The Rams, they played the first game, gave up 35. Okay, that's justifiable. Then they played the Raiders and the Texans, and they gave up 29 points to the Raiders and 36 points to the Texans.
Is that the most I scored all year?
I think so. And then he comes back against the Chargers. They give up 6. He comes back and he's back against the Cardinals. They give up 24, and then the Titans they give up 3. So they give up 100 points in 3 games without him, and then the next 3 games with him they give up 33 points. Devin Lloyd was the heart and soul of this defense. Devin Lloyd was the captain of this defense. I know people don't value middle linebackers, in this day and age in the NFL. Roquan Johnson, you go on the list and not value it. I know you do.
Look at my Niners, dude. Between Willis and Bowman and Warner,
those numbers are damning, and this defense is most certainly taking a step back, which helps the offense, right? Yep. It was a decent defense last year, maybe even above average. Last year they weren't a great defense. They were very opportunistic, which Devin Lloyd was a big part. Remember that the pick 6 he had against the Chiefs? Devin Lloyd is the dude. Not having Devin Lloyd is a major, major, major issue. Another reason I love this offense. Let's move on to our second team here. It is the Minnesota Vikings. With the uncertainty at quarterback, I think we both think and know it's going to be Kyler Murray. But I'm going to read you the ADPs here. Kyler Murray, quarterback 17. The running backs are just so late. Aaron Jones, running back 39, and Jordan Mason, running back 42. With Justin Jefferson going wide receiver 6, kind of seems a little rich, but Jordan Addison, wide receiver 42, and Jennings, wide receiver 61, with my boy TJ Hawkinson going tight end 22. So literally the only guy we have going in starting ranges, there's one guy, it's Justin Jefferson. Kyler Murray's outside the quarterback ones. Hawkinson is almost a tight end 3, and then Addison is 6 spots outside of the top 36 receivers. So dude, we like this team to bounce back. This is a mess.
How is Hawkinson on the wire in our dynasty league? That seems crazy to me, man. It is wild.
I want to grab him, but we have Laporta and Strange, and it's just and we have a rookie in the taxi squad. But yeah, he should have. I mean, you know how high I'm on TJ Hawkinson this year.
Yep. And I got Pitts and Ferguson with the rookie in Dallas. I'm having a brain fart.
Michael Trigg.
Trigg, yes. I knew it was 5-letter one. Didn't want to say the wrong one. Knew he was down there. But Hawkinson sitting out there. Is there not a world where Hawkinson replaces Kelsey next year on the Chiefs and is the hottest thing?
Well, I'm not even going to go that far. I think TJ Hawkinson's a top 10 tight end this year just because Kyler Murray. And when I read the rest of someone has to step up, right? Maybe it's Jordan Addison. Maybe it's Jennings. Maybe it's one of the running backs. But if we think this offense is going to get back to where they should be, then these are all super undervalued players. So I went through under Kevin O'Connell, they have ranked in total offense. This is yards 7th, 10th, 13th, 7th, 10th, and 13th. And last year was 28th. That was not Kevin O'Connell. That was JJ McCarthy, guys. And that was, Carson Wentz with one shoulder. And it was terrible. And I get that if he's an all-time epic play caller, he's got to do better than 28th with the talent they had there. But I don't think anyone could overcome JJ McCarthy.
No, I don't think so either. And that was going to be the start of this for me when we were talking about the Vikings. It's I got 3 letters for you, man. It's KOC. Like, dude's unbelievable with what he can get out of that offense. Is as hard as you saw 9 fall last year. I'm not putting all that on KOC. Kyler, you've seen be successful. I think he gets back to running a little bit. He's got a tight end that he can trust, a big body there. Jefferson is fine at the price. I got no issue with it because he can easily finish there in this offense with Kyler. As long as he can see between his offensive linemen, he'll be all right. But Addison's the big one for me. I really liked Addison. I like Jefferson taking the attention away from him. The concern for me is looking at what Arizona did in the past with Kyler, but it's a totally different offense. So I don't, it kind of apples and oranges. I don't want to hold what Kyler did in Arizona as to what he's going to do here when he gets coached up by a completely different team and a completely different outlook. So I think he does. I think he's a starter. I think he rebounds a little bit. I think he's a value. I think if you want to punt the quarterback position and the tight end position and you end up with a double up of Murray and Hawkinson, they're both going to finish well above where you had to draft them. And the rest of your team should be pretty stacked because you loaded up on receiver and running back. So in redraft, that's a beautiful strategy in my opinion.
Yeah, and I read the stats. So 7th in 2022, then 10th and 13th and 28th. So we anticipate them to be much closer to the top 13 offense, right? And it seems like the values here, they're valuing them as what they did last year, the 28th offense, which I'm sorry, it's not going to be that bad. Kyler Murray has led a top 10 offense multiple times before. KLC only does top 10 offenses if you take away JJ McCarthy last year, essentially. And everyone here is super cheap. The running back position, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. This is probably scoring dependent, right? We want Aaron Jones in full PPR. We want Jordan Mason in half PPR. I'm a fan of Claiborne. I like Damon Claiborne as a last bench spot kind of guy just because I hate both these running backs. I think I would prefer Jordan Mason, but it seems like a gross committee. And KLC, as great as he's been through the air, like creating air raid offenses, he's never produced a really good running back. He always ranks like bottom 28, 28, 29, 30th. In rushing attack, right? Rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, all that kind of stuff, rushing efficiency. So they don't have the horses. Clearly don't have the horses.
But to get a running back that is going to be on the field 50% of the time that his offense is out there that late in the draft, you still can't get mad at it. It's the hero or the zero RB guys that should be locking them up or take a shot, throw it in a flex, worry about injury. One of those things with these running backs and you're plugging them in. I mean, if they're your RB2, I'm a little nervous at that point. But as a whole, you can do worse that late in the draft with guys that aren't going to command as many touches as what Mason or Jones would.
Agreed. Next team here, we have to go to the LA Chargers. And these ADPs aren't as crazy. I think the first 2 teams we did, Jags and Vikings, are a lot more discounted. But the Chargers have the potential with Mike McDaniel to have top 5 offense. So last year they were 10th in yards, but 22nd in points scored. They also had neither of their tackles, right? Joe Alt and Slater were both out essentially the whole year. I think Alt played, 6 games? And Slater did not play a snap. And they also added a couple guys in the interior. So this offensive line is going to go from a weakness to beyond a strength, if you ask me. I'm going to give you the ADP here. Justin Herbert, 9th, quarterback 9. Hampton, running back 9. Lad McConkey, wide receiver 18. Quentin Johnson, wide receiver 41. Trey Harris, wide receiver 70. And Oronde Gadsden, wide receiver 16. So pretty fair across the board. Why do you love this offense being undervalued and possibly taking a giant step up?
A huge part of this is not just they're getting their 2 tackles back, they're getting 2 of the best tackles in the game back. And it all starts in the trenches. It all starts up front with the O-line and the D-line. Edge rushers and tackles are where you have to build your core from and be strong up the middle in the NFL. Those 2 coming back alone gives Herbert so much more time. then you bring in the Mike McDaniels, and that is huge. And that's kind of the point that I said earlier. Spoiler alert: you're going to hear me talking about some of these OCs or some of these play callers that I think are game changers. He's working on the footwork with Herbert. He's working on getting a quicker release with Herbert. You saw McDaniel in San Francisco and in Miami have quarterbacks with some of the quickest releases that there are. If you just get the ball out quick enough, you read the defense, you get the ball out quickly, and you let your playmakers do their thing, that compensates for not great quarterback play. Herbert is a great quarterback, in my opinion, and you're gonna bump him up with Mike McDaniels. That should have him in the top 5 with release time if he can really hone in and take the most out of his coaching. Hampton, I expect to take another step forward this year in a second year in that offense or second year in the NFL. And McDaniel schemes the running backs. I like Keaton Mitchell really late. He's the guy I like throwing on the end of my bench as a pass catcher, an Achane-ish type. You look at some of the receiving backs that Mike had when he was the OC out in San Francisco, and I don't know that you can put it all on Hampton. So he's the guy that I like above Vidal, and I'm stashing him where I can. And then the receiver McConkey, people are sleeping on him, man. You saw what he did a couple of years ago. He had a down year last year. I understand that, and I think he bounces right back in this offense. And a huge part of that is they've got more time to throw.
So you're going to just give Ladd a pass, and Ladd was not hurt last year. He gets a pass, but Brian Thomas doesn't get a pass.
I saw it coming a mile away. Is that
what you're fucking telling me right now, dude? No, I'm not going to stand by and listen to this because Ladd McConkey is still going in essentially the end of the 3rd round. Brian Thomas is going in the 6th round. Ladd was worse than Brian Thomas last year. Ladd didn't get hurt. This offense was, I guess, a little worse than the Jags, but, dude, Ladd's rookie year was good, not as good as Brian Thomas.
No.
So you're willing to take Ladd McConkey at wide receiver 18, but you're not touching Brian Thomas at wide receiver 33.
No, I'm not saying I'm not touching him. I'm saying I'd rather have the other guys later there. And I don't expect Thomas to get back to what he was his rookie year necessarily. But I can be wrong, and where you see the potential value there is a great take. I'm not knocking your take.
I don't hate Ladd. I mean, I don't like the player, but in this situation, I see the inherent upside. But Brian Thomas is a much easier click because there's way less risk. Like 3rd round, man, early 4th round, that's something. There's some really good players. I could get Garrett Wilson there, who I know is an elite player. That was a very simple Jack take, Nico.
Simple Jack, the story of a mentally impaired farmhand who can talk to animals, was a box office disaster that many critics called one of the worst movies of all time.
Got a good brain.
I think you've got a fine brain, Jack.
You make me happy.
But now the question is, can speed...
Oh.
Full PPR, because the guy is just not. I mean, Quentin Johnson takes a lot of touchdowns away. He's at 8 the last 2 years, and I need touchdowns and half PPR. And Ladd, I'm not saying Brian Thomas is a touchdown merchant, but you're getting him 3 rounds later. I want to talk about the running back room with you, since we're not going to get anywhere with Ladd McConkey. Love you, Nico.
Hey, real quick. I got a question for you though. I put a bet on the board with a guy at work, right? I told him I was coming on the pod tonight, and this is what we were discussing. And I'm looking at ADP on Fantasy Pros, right? In the half peeper ADP, Ladd McConkey and DJ Moore are right next to each other. Who do you like better in half PPR?
Ooh, well, see, Fantasy Pros is weird. You must be going ECR because currently on Underdog, Ladd McConkey's going wide receiver 18, and DJ Moore is going wide receiver 27.
They shouldn't be that close, in my opinion. But like I said,
I want Ladd. I want Ladd over DJ Moore in terms of in a vacuum. But at ADP, I want DJ Moore a round and a half later every day of the week. I mean, I'm not buying into Ladd. Dude, Ladd was downright awful last year. Like, the film was bad. The usage was bad. He disappears from games. He did this in Georgia, man, when he was playing with Brock Bowers. He disappears. I love his route running, and, there's a chance they can use him more creatively, not just as a slot player, and I love the upbeat offense he's going to have, the up-tempo offense. But wide receiver 18, I am lukewarm at best on Ladd McConkey. You seem like you're in. Are you all in on Ladd McConkey?
I'm probably going to have some shares of Ladd this year, and it's just because I think that offense rebounds and takes a step forward. I expect improvement from Herbert. I expect Hampton to be able to continue to run the ball and take the pressure off the pass game, as well as those tackles are back. And Ladd's going to be the wide receiver one there, and potentially wide receiver one for fantasy.
A wide receiver one, not the wide receiver one for fantasy.
No,
that's possible.
no, A.
He's 5'7", dude. All right, let's talk about the running backs one more time. So, are you in on a Marion Hampton? Because I am out on. I mean, he's one of my biggest fades this year.
I like Hampton. I'm a Keaton Mitchell late guy where I want to stash him, but Hampton is getting drafted right at his value right now. He's not undervalued. He's not going to finish much above where he's at. It's the Mike McDaniel running back effect, I want to say, but he's not Kyle Shanahan, and Hampton's not Chan. So, and Hampton's not CMC. And so I don't think all things are equal here at this point. But I think Hampton should be able to finish about where he's being drafted. I just don't think he's a value.
Well, I don't like drafting guys at their ceiling. And
no.
I'll make it two cases for you. So the case for Hampton is he's elite. And last year he didn't really show that on tape. His advanced metrics were much better than his actual film that I watched. But he was a great pass catcher. When he came back from injury, he had a couple games with like 6 and 7 receptions, which is awesome. But you said you like Keaton Mitchell. I'm kind of a fan. But I like Kamani Vidal, and I think Kamani Vidal earned the third down, at least some of the third down work. This has the makings of a three-headed committee, and it's not a big committee. It'll still be Hampton about 65%, which is most backfields. But they're going to want to play Keaton Mitchell because McDaniel loves that Devin Achane player. He loves speed, right? And Hampton's pretty fast for his size. He's a big boy. Keaton Mitchell's a home run hitter, and Kamani Vidal is trusted in pass pro, which Hampton is not. So if you're telling me you're going to get 25% Keaton Mitchell and 12% Kamani Vidal, roughly, that gives you 63% for Hampton. But I don't like it. That's not enough for me because I could take Saquon Barkley or Marion Hampton. Who are you taking?
Oh, dude, I think Saquon has a bounce back year. I'm taking Saquon.
Okay. Kenneth Walker or Marion Hampton?
I'm taking Hampton.
Really?
Yeah, I don't trust the Chiefs to utilize Walker correctly as well as I don't trust.
So they're going to use DeMarcado and Emmett Johnson over the guy that is paid millions of dollars, like second highest paid running back, I believe.
They're going to use DeMarcado in the pass game, and Walker isn't going to finish the season. He's going to have his big splash plays, and then he's going to run into the back of his offensive lineman a few times and do all the dancing we've seen before. And he's a bit of a risky guy, and I don't want that where I'm taking running backs in that range. I think Hampton's more of a just straightforward runner.
Yeah, I just haven't seen it. We just saw Kenneth Walker be elite, and it took a long time, but it was in the biggest stage. And I think the thing with Kenneth Walker is he's, we always joke about the Ty and Dancer thing, and he's a guy that needs a rhythm. And they never gave him a rhythm. Either it was his injuries or the Zach Charbonnet mixing in way too much. And we're Charbonnet guys, but Kenneth Walker should have had more snaps all those years. But you got to give Kenneth Walker a rhythm, man. He's finally going to get it. Andy Reid's going to say, guess what? We paid you. Here's 75% of the snaps, Kenneth Walker.
They're not afraid to run their running backs into the dirt. I will give
you
dude.
Reid
is willing to just hammer fist his running backs. My concern with Walker, like I said, is the inconsistencies. You're going to lose weeks with him. You're going to win weeks with him. And if he's my RB1, I don't necessarily love that, where I'd rather have something more consistent in Barkley or Hampton. But with Walker, put together a highlight film, and you're going to be like, holy shit, this dude's amazing. Put together a low light film, and you're going to be like, this dude's in the NFL still? He makes questionable decisions sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Last point on Hampton. What is his – I'm going to go per game touches. How many touches per game do you see him getting? That's what's going to determine a lot here.
Yeah, it is. He's going to be, I think, the 15 to 20 range.
Well, that's pretty broad. Give me an exact number. You got to go bold here. Give me an exact number. Marion Hampton touches per game. We can't guess injury. We'll say whatever game he's out there, however in games, what is he going to get?
18 a game.
I have a number. I was going to say 16 a game.
Okay.
That's not enough for me, man. I need more. I know. I think Kenneth Walker's getting 20 plus a game. I'm pretty sure. I know Barkley's getting 20 plus a game. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean, really? We just saw him hold up in the playoffs. What's going on, Jonathan?
Playoffs? Want to talk about playoffs?
You guys in the chat, let us know. Give us how many touches a game, not total touches for season. Let's not try to predict injury or anything. Per game touches, Marion Hampton versus Kenneth Walker. Just put Walker this many and put Hampton this many. Let us know in the chats. I'm guessing more people are going to bank on Kenneth Walker averaging more touches, just mostly because there's less competition behind him. I love Emmett Johnson. He's a rookie, and DeMarcado is, dude, he's DeMarcado. It's all I got to say. He sounds like an appetizer.
Third down back. Good
gross seafood appetizer.
Sounds delicious.
Yes, you know what? He couldn't even beat out the guys with Arizona last year after Trey Benson got hurt. You know, it was rough. He couldn't even, and he did drop the ball on the 1 yard line, but I get everyone's gonna love Hampton because they love the second year player. I understand that. I am out on a Marion Hampton. Give me all the other guys. Give me Derrick Henry over Marion Hampton, dude. It's Derrick Henry. Like, I know what I'm getting. Not worried about Derrick Henry.
It's consistency, right? You've seen it until he.
All right, guys, get that in the comment section for us. I'm gonna hit you guys with the intro. We'll be back in 20-ish seconds with the next team. Yep. Well, I didn't say he would hold up, Jonathan. I just said he's going to get 20 touches a game. And, you know, Marion Hampton also got hurt last year. So I think everyone's forgetting that Hampton didn't hold up to the workload early in the year either. It was a 1 year sample. But Kenneth Walker's been nicked up a lot in his career. But Marion Hampton, literally, we have 1 year sample of Hampton, and he missed like 6 games. So that happens. So, and again, I'm not going to try to predict injuries. I think it's a losing game unless you're talking about J.K. Dobbins. That's a winning game because he's going to get hurt.
13 games. This is over under, right?
Hey, we all tried to play that game last year with CMC, didn't we? Well, and he was coming off these chronic injuries, and he didn't play last year, and there was all this weird stuff around going to Germany. He played every game last year, guys, with 1 million touches. So let's not draft guys that are injured. I don't like doing that. Injuries will find you. Don't draft guys that are injured because injuries will find you. But let's not try to play the game of predicting injuries unless it's with a J.K. Dobbins level player. Like, and I know Kenneth Walker's kind of like that, but nothing close to Dobbins, man. He just misses a game or two a year.
Yeah, so, I'm with you. I understand that. And I'm nervous about CMC this year. You see him every other year, right? All the touches, hurt, none of the work. All the touches, hurt, none of the work.
Yeah, but the upside is immense, even though he is a little diminished as a player. I think you would agree, and as a Niners fan, last year he was a little diminished. Not in the passing game, mind you, but just running and just not being as spry.
Yeah, they need a better backup running back. I thought Brian Robinson could have been that guy, but it just didn't work out. And now
you drafted a bum. You drafted a bum in the 3rd round. So
Old Man Black and James, 2nd-year running back. So
yeah, congratulations on your awesome backfield again that you refuse to ever address. And it doesn't matter anyway because Kyle Shanahan's never giving anyone else work. He says it every year, never happens. Will never happen.
Yeah, but then you see the Elijah Mitchells show up, and you see the Garendo fill in for a game or two. Like, it seems like whoever he plugs in makes it work.
Jonathan says all this Dobbins talk. Watch him go healthy and top 10 running back. I mean, hey, last year he was almost there. He was getting there, and then there you go. It sucks. You know what? We're all rooting for J.K. Dobbins. It's all with love, but it is pretty funny, and it's a nice punchline. Like, it's J.K. Dobbins.
His talent's there.
Yeah, it's somehow still there after all the injuries and Achilles and ACL. I mean, he's those are the big boys he's had, and he's still chucking.
He's Frank Gore-ish.
Yeah, Frank Gore is also that was an argument I heard that really got me onto Jonathan Brooks earlier this year, as well as some people in the comment section. Was Frank Gore had multiple ACLs in the same knee really early, right in college?
Both knees in college.
Yeah, and then didn't he have another one in the pros?
Yeah, I think so.
And then he had the longest career ever, and it was kind of boring towards the end, but he was just it was a metronome, man. Just 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns every year. Even when he left the Niners, he's awesome. Frank Gore, GOAT. All right, want to move on to the next team?
Yep.
This is Nick O's list. Nick O has 3 teams here. He's going with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to give you the ADPs here. Jalen Hurts, quarterback 7. Saquon Barkley, running back 8. Devonta Smith, running back or wide receiver 13. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver 35. Wicks 81. And then Dallas Goedert, tight end 15. Outside the top 12, outside of the starting range. So why do you think this team is undervalued? Is it just based on how piss poor they were last year on offense?
That's pretty much it. like I said, we've talked about recency bias a little bit. You saw some bad play calling there. Hurts still finished pretty high last year. I think there's a world where he can finish top 6 quarterback, and he's not quite being drafted there. But again, you don't want to draft people at their ceiling. I understand that. The Saquon love for me is real. I think he comes out with a fury this year. I think they lean on him. And the Devontae Smith at 1, it's questionable given his size, right? But did A.J. Brown really take good coverage and the safety over the top and all those things away from him? I'm not sure that that's how that played out, because that team ran so much and they didn't throw a ton. I think Smith can hold up as a 1. I think Lemon is a solid rookie coming in if he can learn this offense. And that's kind of what it comes back to for me, is learning this offense is Sean Mannion. You got a very recent quarterback coming out the NFL that's now going to be calling plays here. And I think that's kind of the difference maker. I think you're going to see him get creative. I think you're going to see him utilize some guys. I think Stowers and Goddard both are on the field quite a bit in this heavy personnel that you're seeing a lot of teams transition to. Stowers is a giant receiver, essentially, in my opinion. I know it takes time for tight ends to develop historically, but recently we've seen some of these guys come on pretty hot. And they brought Wicks in for a reason. They paid him a decent amount too. So I think he's going to challenge Lemon, and those guys are maybe going to rotate opposite of Smith. And it's going to be a much better offense than what it was last year. And I don't think you're going to lose on anybody, even if you're not getting incredible values. It's not always easy to put these lists together with undervalued offenses and hit on all the spots. But as a whole, I think it's a safe one with some upside at a few of those positions.
I think it's addition by subtraction in terms of, I think Sean Mannion's good. I think he's smart. Unknown, we don't know. I do know one thing. Anybody you bring in is better than Pachulo. Like anyone. It doesn't matter. You can literally have a grasshopper, dude. Put a fucking headset on a grasshopper. I don't know how that works because they're really small. They will do better than this fucking clown who was just hired because he was buddies with Sirianni. What a mess last year. I think that's why this is undervalued, just because the predictability, the just how dumb that offense was, running the ball, passing the ball. There was nothing to it. Even the tush push wasn't working for him last year, which should tell you all you need to know. But Chulo, wow.
You're planting a baby monitor?
Yeah. A lot of people are bugging their babies these days. I guess babies can't be trusted.
What exactly is it you're expecting to find here?
A lot of shady shit.
Like what?
Like maybe Bruce is banging dudes.
Why would that be shady?
Maybe the dudes are babies.
What? Bruce is not banging any baby dudes. Look,
That's Kevin Pachulo having a conversation about anything, just like, well, maybe they're baby dudes. Like, God, Pachulo.
Where did he end up? I forget, man. Where's he at?
I think he's managing like a 7-Eleven or something. That's my guess. But Saquon Barkley, running back 8, my one of my most drafted players on Underdog right now. And I think the pass catching is going to go way up. I mean, he had 33 and 37 receptions the first 2 years with the Eagles. And he's not going to go back to his rookie form of 80 receptions, but I think 50 receptions, it should be in the cards. Also, losing A.J. Brown, it makes sense to get them, give him the work, but take some load off his back. You're not going to get hit by a defensive lineman, not running up the middle as much. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he is a plus receiver as a running back. He drops a lot of passes somehow, but you see that dude in space. Like, he's going to make a linebacker miss. He's going to run over a defensive back. It just makes all the sense in the world, and it just makes this offense a lot more dynamic than just having him run up the middle, which he can do as good as anyone in the league. He can take anything to the house. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver 35. I'm going to go a little negative here. I like everyone in this offense. Also, I love taking Tank Bigsby. I think he is the safest handcuff to take. The workload Barkley had the last 2 years, and Tank Bigsby was downright dominant last year. You know how old Tank Bigsby is, Nico?
I'm not positive, but I'd put him at like 24.
23. He's only 23.
Yeah.
And they traded for him. So he is a nice, awful pass catcher. Awful pass catcher. Literally one of the worst in the league. He has like 9 career receptions.
I don't know how he's on that team, if I'm being honest.
What do you mean?
I don't think Shipley should even be in the NFL, man, the way he's played.
Yeah, Shipley's been pretty bad. But Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver 35. I brought this up in ADP, Vegas versus ADP. 650 is his over-under receiving yard line. Really low. He should not be a starting. Like, he is going right around Brian Thomas.
That's crazy to me.
Like, I like the player. I love the player of Mekhi Lemon, but it just doesn't. His skill set overlaps with Dallas Goedert, who's going to be on the field. Devonta Smith's the one. They're going to just run the piss out of the ball this year. And Jalen Hurts is going to run more this year. He ran like the lowest. It's the lowest by a mile he ran last year. Like, I had the stat a couple weeks ago. He was averaging about 9 fantasy points per game with his legs, and that was mostly tush push as well. But last year he was at 4.5 fantasy points. So like it was half what he's had any other year.
So do you think?
I think he was going through the motions.
Do you think Lemon is the 4th receiving target in that offense?
No, I think it's going to be one of those very narrow target tree, touch tree, where it's going to be Barkley, Smith, to a lesser extent Goddard more in the red zone. And then they're going to rotate Lemon and Wicks and Hollywood Brown. And it's just the only one you really want to own is Devonta Smith, Goddard at tight end because he plays tight end, and then Saquon Barkley with Jalen Hurts. And that's enough. Even if they have a top 10 offense, I think those guys will eat. And Lemon will have his moments. He'll have big games. But I think it's going to be real. You're going to see a lot of 3 for 30s from Mekhi Lemon. And where's the touchdowns coming from Mekhi Lemon? Because even if this offense goes boom, what is the passing touchdown number, the upside for Jalen Hurts? 24?
Yeah, a couple dozen.
So so I think Devonta Smith's an 8 touchdown player, I think, is a full-time role. We've seen him do it in a part-time role. Dallas Goedert just scored 13 last year. Let's cut that in half. Let's cut that in half and make that 6. Now you have 14 between Smith and Goddard. Barkley will catch 2 or 3. There's 17. Now we have 7 touchdowns left with Wicks, and you still have Calcaterra, the backup tight end. You have Hollywood Brown, who's going to play 5 games and maybe score 2 touchdowns. So he has his upside of 6 touchdowns. Is that what you're telling me? And
I wouldn't cut Goddard's in half either. And Stowers, I think.
I was just being, Stowers. There you go. Yeah. So I was just kind of being conservative with the tight end, regression. And unless Jalen Hurts throws 30 touchdowns, it's just not going to happen because Saquon gets him on the ground. Hurts is still going to have. I mean, last year was an atrocious rushing year for Hurts, like I mentioned. He still had 8. So 8 is Jalen Hurts' floor for rushing touchdowns. They still have a really good defense. So the passing volume won't be there. I'm not worried about Devonta Smith in this conversation because he's the offense. He is the passing game outside of the tight ends. Mekhi Lemon, I'm off. Everyone else, though, I think we're fans of. Let's move on to your next team, the Houston Texans, Nico. Why do you see them as being undervalued? And is it just because I think recency bias and how bad CJ Stroud was in the playoffs and how he's been pretty bad the last couple of years?
Stroud, you saw his rookie year show out, and it hasn't done it since, but you've at least seen it once. There's a world where he regresses or progresses a little bit back towards that. But Nico, I think, is right at his ceiling. You're drafting him at value. It's Higgins and Montgomery and Schultz are the 3 in that offense that I don't mind getting a piece of. I think Schultz has some touchdown upside. I think Higgins is the clear 2 opposite of Collins there. And I think Monty's a workhorse running back. I got no faith in Woody Marks to take too many touches or to take too much work away from Montgomery. And I think they brought him in for a reason. This team's going to play strong defense and run the ball. And so it's not as much Stroud for me or Collins as it is Higgins, Montgomery, and Schultz.
So we have CJ Stroud going quarterback 23, David Montgomery going running back 20. It's crazy underrated. Woody Marks running back 44 for the handcuff and playable handcuff range. Nico wide receiver 11, Jaden Higgins wide receiver 54, Tank Dell wide receiver 80, and Jalen Noel wide receiver 104, who I like a lot. I think Tank Dell is probably a better real life player than fantasy player. He's more of an impact on the offense as a whole, but he's like besties with Stroud, and then Higgins, like I said, is kind of the number 2 there. He's like a poor man's Nico Collins. And then you have tight end 23 for Dalton Schultz. So literally there's only 2 guys going in starting ranges, and the quarterback is not even close. CJ Stroud's barely going in starting range in a super flex. Nico is back end wide receiver 1 at wide receiver 11, and Montgomery is a back end RB2, a running back 20, and then the tight end's not even in play. So I think people are fading this team offensively because how good the defense is, which is justifiable. The defense almost got better possibly with getting Blankenship there, which is just unreal.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's also an argument to be made that they're going to have the ball an awful lot. This is my David Montgomery call. Is maybe the passing value won't be there, but what is CJ Stroud's strength, Nico? Where does he thrive? I think you know this answer.
Stroud thrives in handing the ball off.
Well, no, well, yeah, but it ties to that in play action, right? Heavy packages, play action. He can read the field good, but he also panics. And if you give him
a minute,
two reads,
and that's why the play action works, because as he's rolling out, he can see it, and that dude has to see it before he can hit it a lot of times.
And he's super accurate when he has his feet under him, and he's confident. Which, David Montgomery, running back 20, and I want to ask you this about David Montgomery. His pass catching has been not great, the last couple of years with Jahmyr Gibbs there, but he's still been like in the high 20s, low 30s in Detroit. Now, that's inflated by Jared Goff being a check down merchant and all the plays they run there in Detroit. But, go back to Chicago days, David Montgomery had a lot of receptions, a 50-plus reception year. What is David Montgomery's receiving upside? Because Woody Marks is going to get some run. David Montgomery is probably only a 60 to 65% snap share player, but I know he's getting all the goal line work. Like, I know he's getting the goal line work. I know he's going to be the guy in the game when they need a trusted, first down on a 3rd and 2. He's going to get the game, he's going to salt the game away. What is is he have 40? Could he have 40 receptions this year?
Yep. I would have said 30 to 40. So I think 40 is attainable. I'll split the difference and put him at 35 all day, but easily get 40. And part of that is I think the offense is going to want to play it safe. They're going to want to be game managers. And it's whether it's him or Schultz catching the short ones. Yeah.
And Nico is, always a value. I think he's even more a value this year because how last year ended. And he was definitely playing hurt. He had a concussion. He also had a shoulder injury. And if you look at the snap share of the last 4 weeks, Higgins was actually out snapping him, which Nico has been a 90% snap share player these last few years. I think that 5-game sample was what's not like the other, and that was not like the other, and that was a 5-game sample. I'm going to go off the 45-game sample I saw from the previous 3 years. Nico Collins will be out there every snap as long as he's healthy. So
you think they keep funneling it to Nico? He gets the volume
and the touchdowns, right? Nico is never going to be 120%. He's not going to have a Jamar Chase level season, but Nico is a 12+ touchdown upside player, right? Like he's always going to have 8 or 10. And CJ Stroud's prime for a bounce back because everyone's writing the kid off. I'm not a Stroud guy, but I think the hate's gone too far. Stroud is still a franchise quarterback. Now he's a shitty one, but he's still really young. He's 24, 25 years old.
At a certain point, it shifts back to where it's a value, right? The hype gets too high and you're out and they're overpriced, and then they go so far down where it shifts back to now it seems like it could be a value again. Or if I'm going to punt the quarterback position and wait and take my shot with a couple late guys, he's not one of them that I hate taking the shot on. Let's play the same game that we just did with Philadelphia and lay out the touchdowns. How many touchdowns do you think Stroud throws for?
Now, I actually think he has higher upside than Hurts just because he's not going to run him in, right? I'll say, let's go law of averages. Let's say 25.
And half of those are going to go to Collins? 10,
I think
12?
so, dude. I think 10 to 12, yeah. And then you get Higgins. And Schultz has never been a big touchdown guy, though. He's good for 4 or 5. It's not Dallas Goedert situation. Mm-hmm. And then, Monty's not really going to be catching a lot of touchdowns.
So that's my Higgins love, man. That's where that's coming in for me. I think
he's singled. He's singled right in the red zone, like they're doubling Nico.
Yeah, he's a hot single chick out at the bar,
and he's huge, which also helps with the hot singles chicks, right? Like they like the huge guy, tall and girth. I would too if I was a chick. I'd be a size queen for sure, bro. What about you? You like the small guys or the big guys?
Oh man,
hey, you must be Mr. Lefebvre.
Yeah, that's me.
Surprise! I'm all yours. I was told there'd just be one, but I can take both of you. Might get a little sore, but I'll manage.
Okay, well, I'm out of here.
Wait, what?
Hey, where you going? Lefebvre's into banging little Asian boys, so we're done, right?
No, look, if we're gonna do this thing, we need to see things through.
Dennis, are you gonna have sex with a tiny Asian boy?
I'm gonna see how far I can go. Are you with me?
No, I'm going to leave now.
Let's kick things up a notch.
So only the ones to the clubs?
Yeah, you're a caddy. Clubs. This is a golf. Good.
You ever had that happen to you, Rob, in the locker room?
No, and I wouldn't admit to it if I did because I might go all the way. Anyways, let's move on to the Saints, Nico, your last team here. Kellen Moore, I think you love Kellen Moore. It's another one of your, the reasons you love him. I'm going to give you the ADPs before I let you talk here. Tyler Shuck, quarterback 20. Travis Etienne, running back 16, Chris Olave, wide receiver 14, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver 31, and Juwan Johnson, tight end 21. Seems a little low for Juwan Johnson.
It does, and like I said, there's a little bit of a theme here, right? And you hit the nail on the head. It's more. I loved Kellen Moore when he went to Dallas. I thought that was going to be a huge push for that offense, and it was a little bit. And he runs more plays than anybody else. He runs the clock quick, and more plays, more opportunities, more scoring. Ideally, you saw Shuck finish strong, and if they continue to build on how they finished, Olave has a year at least what he did last year. I'm happy with where I'm taking him at. Shuck should be able to outperform quarterback 20. If you extrapolate his 7-game sample size out, he has a good year, man. I forget what the numbers are off the top of my head, but
the rushing stuff was real too. He was third in design rush percentage. And partially he was ahead of Lamar because Lamar was playing hurt during that stretch. Like during that 7-game stretch, third, only behind Josh Allen and I think it was Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, which is wild. I mean, that's just, and Tyler Shuck's not built like that, which is kind of a concern. But he is that nice mix of, mobile. He'll run when he needs to, and he's also aggressive downfield, which is what we want mixed with the Kellen Moore run and gun system. It seems like a great marriage.
It does. And you've got ETN down there now as well, who I think is a more solid running back than anybody they had on the roster last year. Kamara, unfortunately, seems to be falling off of a cliff and a bit of a shell of himself. There's rumors that he's going to get moved too. We'll see. The Tyson at receiver, I like it. Again, don't get too excited about the shiny new toys. We got temper expectations with the unknowns and those guys. But Juwan, man, I think Juwan's an 8 or 10 touchdown guy all day. And if he can do that with where you're drafting him at, he's a steal. So it's ETN, it's Johnson, it's Shuck. I think those guys could be a value if they continue to build on what they started last year with Kellen.
So you're in on Olave over Tyson at ADP, 31 for Tyson, wide receiver 14 for Olave. It's an early third-round pick for Chris Olave. He's going right in the same range that JSN was going last year.
Yeah, and he has the ability to do it. The nervous part for me is the injury concern, the take a hit, the concussion, the what have you. In a redraft, man, after my first 2 rounds, I start taking chances, but in the third, it still feels a little early, but he played all last year and didn't get knocked out. So if he can do it last year, he should be able to do it this next year. And Tyson feels like a value, but it's the unknown commodity that I'm like, I don't know that he should finish above where he does if we expect the rest of that offense to do what they're going to do with more. So I'm in on both of them. Just depends on how you're stacking your roster and whichever one. If you miss out on Olave, then take Tyson.
See, I'm at a crossroads here with so the 3 players, specifically the 3 players that were my most owned players last year they all blew up and they were all super cheap were Chris Olave, George Pickens, and Javonte Williams. I had pretty much over 50% shares, like over 17 shares of all 3 of them each.
Yeah, you proved me wrong on Olave last year. The other 2 I was in on with you, but your value last year, man, you put it out there and you were right, and kudos to you. So I guess I want to know what your Olave take is this year. I'm gonna lean on you.
So the struggle I have with all 3 of these guys, and again, we need to not play fancy like this, but when I hit on all of them last year, that made me a lot of money, and I was getting, Olave was in the 6th round. Olave was in the 7th round. Pickens was the 6th round, and Javonte Williams was in the 10th round. And now I look at Chris Olave in the early 3rd. I look at George Pickens in the end of the 2nd. I look at Javonte Williams in the end of the 3rd. And the one that I'm actually buying in on most this year is Javonte Williams, because nothing's changed there. And I feel like running back is so much more scarce at that point. Like that's like the dead zone area, running back 17. Chris Olave, I'm not as concerned about the concussions as you are. I am concerned, as much as I like Tyler Shuck, I love Kellen Moore. Tyler Shuck could suck. Like we don't know. I mean, dude, CJ Stroud looked like the best quarterback in the league, like going to be the best quarterback in the league after his rookie year. And he has been awful. I know he's still winning playoff games and shit, but that's because the Texans defense is elite. And I'm just saying, like, if you told me that CJ Stroud is quarterback 23 now, if you said that 3 years ago, you'd be like, what happened? Did he get hurt? No, he's just bad now. And Jaden Daniels, that was injuries last year, but even when he was healthy, was not playing good. Like, and Tyler Shuck was not, as a rookie, not as good as either of those 2 players.
No.
So we've seen this before. The league has film on him now. Now, the upside is Kellen Moore is good. I'm just saying, like, the price is rich, man. Like, Chris Olave, that price is rich. And it's all about usage because Kellen Moore, whoever's playing majority slot on this offense, is going to fucking eat. But Jordan Tyson's a really good slot player. And Chris Olave is pretty good on the outside. So what's best for them in real life is probably to play Olave majority at X and Tyson on the inside, which is awful for Olave in fantasy and great for Tyson in fantasy. I think they're going to mix it up, right? Yeah. I think it's a fair price. I don't see the upside in Olave at 14. Not at all. I don't think there's no way Chris Olave is a top 5 receiver this year. I know he was last year, but you got to think, like, there was that stretch where Devon Vele was kind of eating into Olave's workload. It was literally, so Vele goes down, they trade Shaheed, Vele goes down, and Tyler Shuck plays great. And, you know, he was catching deep ball. Remember the last touchdown he scored was from Taysom Hill? Like, it just, everything broke right for Olave last year. And it just takes a couple of those things not to break right, or Tyler Shuck to be a little worse, for Olave to end up at wide receiver 18, right? Which wouldn't be a big loss, but I'm still shooting for upside here with my third pick. Again, I usually go safe with the first 2 picks. I'm shooting for upside later, as in like 3, 4, 5, and 6. Mm-hmm. I just don't love it. Like, I don't love wide receiver 14. I'm fine with it. It's not gonna burn your fantasy team, right? It's gonna be a fine pick, especially in PPR. He'll be a weekly wide receiver 2. But I just don't know. I think Etienne's the value here, running back 16. I think Etienne is the guy that he's going to go right in around the same range. Etienne could catch 65 balls this year.
You think so? 65?
I really think so. I mean, who else do they have there? I mean, like Kamara even if he comes back, he's dusty. Etienne's a better receiver than he is a fucking pure running back.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's the pure running back on that team then? I mean, it's almost
Devin Neal's already hurt. Like, it's not. They don't have a lot of depth. With Henry Miller can never stay healthy. So, and then Juwan Johnson we talked about 10 and 21. My worry about Juwan Johnson is I'm a big Oscar Delp guy out of Georgia, and they didn't draft him very high, but like he is a Brock Bowers type measurables. He's really raw, so I don't expect him to eat into Johnson too much, but just something to know. But I feel like 10 and 21 is a great value. I prefer Hawkinson over him. But I think the upside is with Juwan over Hawkinson.
Yeah, Delp's the guy I was targeting for my taxi squad.
We didn't talk about Bryce Lance. Bryce Lance will be a sleeper with Tyson not being able to be healthy. And also you mentioned the Chris Olave concussion, possible concern. So Bryce Lance is a, kind of a Christian Watson type of player as a rookie. Just a very long, lengthy, gazelle-like athlete that's just very good at running down the field. And Shuck has a big arm, so got to pay attention to. Let's move on to my next team.
Trey Lance's little brother, right? And when the Niners moved up to go get Trey Lance, John Lynch said, hey, I want to draft his little brother. And he was like a senior in high school at the time, right? Like a very raw prospect. Didn't know where he was going to go to college or what he was going to do. So the fact that Lynch and Shanahan were calling out Bryce Lance years ago, the athleticism's there. But as we saw with his brother Trey, that does not always translate.
No, at least he's playing a position where athleticism matters more. You know, you can kind of be an idiot. Not saying he's an idiot, but clearly your guy kind of was Trey Lance. And yeah, he's still in the league. He's still kicking around the Chargers there. So my first team is the Buccaneers. So they scored 380 points last year, and they gave up 411. They were outscored last year, and this defense really took a step back. Todd Bowles is literally an idiot. He is awful. Maybe he'll get better, and I did like the pick of Bain. I really like that pick, but that's only one guy. I don't think it's going to turn this defense around completely. So here's the values here, where these guys are going. Baker Mayfield, quarterback 19. Last year, Baker Mayfield was going quarterback 7, guys. So touchdown rate regressed. He had a great first 6 weeks, and then he got hurt like he kind of does every other year because he plays so goddamn hard, which we do love, but stay healthy, Baker. Baker, quarterback 19. Bucky Irving, running back 21. Kenneth Gainwell, your boy, running back 39. Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver 19. Chris Godwin, wide receiver 41. Jalen McMillan, wide receiver 61. And then Cade Otton all the way down at tight end 26. So literally Bucky Irving is barely a running back 2. And, he's that shoulder injury concern. Baker's well outside the top 12 guys. Ibuka is the only one really being drafted with high draft capital. And we just saw this offense go nuclear the first 6 weeks. And that was without Mike Evans for some of it. And Chris Godwin wasn't playing. And now, yes, you lose Mike Evans, but Ibuka should take a step forward for real life. Chris Godwin's 1 year removed from that injury. Bucky, hopefully he stays healthy. I mean, this is, and I don't trust the defense. I know it'll be a little better this year. This is not your typical Tampa Bay defense. I think they're middle of the road at best. Easy division in terms of who they're playing. None of those defenses. I guess Carolina's defense got a little better. Still not a great unit. Saints defense is not great. So what do you think about this team for an undervalue? I mean, it's clearly undervalued if Baker stays healthy. Is that the key for you?
I think that's exactly it. I think it's Baker staying healthy. And then, like you said, it's him getting drafted at QB7 and then where he's at now. He's got to finish somewhere in the middle of that. He's got the ability. You've seen it multiple times. He wants to get extended right now. Tampa hasn't offered him anything yet, or at least nothing close to what him and his camp expect as far as the contract goes. If he's going to come out on a 1-year prove-it deal, he is going to ball. He is going to bet on himself. He's going to leave it all out there. He's going to go hard as hell, obviously raising the risk for injury, but also raising the upside for fantasy. If he's going to go all out and try and get one more big contract, and this is his audition, we talked a little bit about it with Pickens, and quarterback's even a much bigger deal. You know the importance of quarterback and the turnover there and the bags that they get. I mean, Kirk Cousins, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in history of the NFL, has got one playoff win and just goes from mediocre team to mediocre team. So Baker sees the writing on the wall. If they're not going to give it to him there, he's going to show out. I think Godwin's age hasn't affected him yet. I think Buka came on early, got banged up, and never really bounced back from that. Some of that's rookie fatigue, in my opinion. Some of that's learning the NFL speed. The fact that he started the way that he did was absolutely insane. You have not seen very many rookie receivers come out and ball like he did in their first 6 games. So he takes a step forward. I'm good with where he's at. I think he's being drafted where he should be right now. I don't think he's a value necessarily, but I think Baker is a value, especially without a contract. I think Bucky's shoulder injury scares me a little bit. Gainwell is going to come in and just 50% timeshare in that backfield. He's going to be the one catching.
And Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker is still going to be involved possibly, which is the issue mostly for Bucky.
Yeah, Tucker will get his a little bit, and he'll get a few touchdowns. But there's a world where Gainwell's, I think, 800-900 yard back, and is getting 60 catches.
He had 73 catches last year. Now that was with literally Aaron Rodgers, who's 94 years old, just checking the ball down
the swing. Yeah,
but
Baker wants to push it down the field, but if it's not there.
This team is weird because, I'm trepidatious about Bucky. I think Gainwell is the best value, especially in PPR as a bridge running back 3. Mm-hmm. I'm not an Ibuka guy. Talent-wise, situation-wise, you got to see how they said they want to use him at Z, which is where he should play, not X. I just know there's a lot of value to be had here, and I think Baker is probably the easy answer, especially in a Superflex league. But there's going to be value here. Kate Otten should be value, 10 and 26. I'm not an Ibuka guy. Like I said, Godwin, wide receiver 41 in PPR. I'm going to be all about that. I'm comfortable going into a year with him as my flex in PPR, as my 4th receiver.
Is there a world where Hurst shows up as the X in this offense sooner?
Yeah, Hurst. McMillan had 8 touchdowns as a rookie. I think we all forget about that when he was healthy. It was weird. Unsustainable stuff on like 37 catches. But, there's a lot. There's not a true alpha here. People want it to be Ibuka. Again, I said his Vegas line is 825 receiving yards, which is lower than where his ADP is. So you got to make a stance. If you're an Ibuka guy, go bet that line right now, guys, because he should crush that, even if he's worse than last year, because he's going to play all the games relatively healthy. So there's value here, whether it's Ibuka, whether it's Godwin, whether it's McMillan, maybe it's Ted Hurst, like you said. One of these running backs or both could emerge. If this offense hums, Bucky will beat his ADP, and so will Kenneth Gainwell. And then clearly Baker will beat his ADP. So it's just, for me, this is more obscure one in terms of who to target. I think the cheaper guy in terms of Godwin and Gainwell are probably the smart picks here for floor. And then Bucky and Ibuka are the 2 guys you're shooting for upside. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you're definitely shooting for upside with Bucky. I'm nervous, but like you said, you can't predict injury. You got to go off of what you've seen them do before, and he's performed. So he can do it again, given he's healthy.
All right, next team I have here. This is a weird one. It is the Colts. So Colts were rolling last year, top 3 offense for the first, 9 weeks of the season, and then Jones got hurt, and then he played through that stress fracture in his shin for a few weeks, and then he really went down with that Achilles injury But up until that point, this was an explosive offense. There was value everywhere. Specifically, Jonathan Taylor, your boy, was the number one running back in fantasy, even ahead of CMC and Bijan for those weeks. Walk-off touchdowns, catching the ball a bunch.
Yeah.
So Daniel Jones, quarterback 25. I think that's pretty fair based on the injury. Jonathan Taylor, running back 4, also pretty fair. And then after this, you have Alec Pierce, wide receiver 34. He has an injury of his own right now with the ankle injury. We don't know if he's ready to start the year. Josh Downs, wide receiver 43. Tyler Warren, wide receiver 4. So what I see here is a very narrow target touch tree. And I don't know, maybe they shouldn't be on this list undervalued. I think that people are just – I think the Colts are going to be trash this year. And I think mostly because their defense is awful. I have hope for this offense. And I think Jonathan Taylor – if this offense is back to even 80% of what it was last year, he's undervalued at the end of the, middle of the end of the first round. He should be taken, he should be the third running back off the board. He should go ahead of CMC because he was playing better than CMC last year and he's younger than CMC. Alec Pierce got all that money. Now the ankle injury is concerning, but he is barely getting drafted in the starting range. Same with Josh Downs. I think these are the two guys I'm targeting here. And I think Tyler Warren should probably be drafted right next to Loveland. Now, tight end 4 sounds rich, but he's literally getting drafted 25 picks after Colson Loveland at tight end 3. I think I like Warren for sure at value, but I think they should be going back to back. Do you agree with that?
They should be going closer, in my opinion. They're both elite talents at tight end. You saw it out of both of them in their rookie years and expect them to continue to grow going forward this next year. Loveland competing with Odunze and Burden over there, and Warren competing with Downs and Pierce. I can make an argument Loveland's got tougher receiver competition than what Warren does in Indianapolis, personally. Pierce,
Definitely.
I'm really surprised to hear his ADP. I thought people would just be clamoring for what he did last year and expect the same thing. And you just can't. His efficiency last year and those long touchdowns, I think Pierce takes a step back from what he did. And I'm surprised the ADP is where it is. I thought everybody would definitely be a little higher on him given his performance last year. So I think I'm okay with it. I think Downs is the steal, especially in PPR. The guy's a machine at catching balls. He's a absolute value. He's the one that I'm targeting all over the place, given where he's being drafted. And Warren going that much behind Loveland seems like a steal as well. Jonathan Taylor hasn't lost anything, hasn't lost a step, is going to continue to ball. And Danny Dimes, didn't expect back this early. I thought he was going to be like, we had our Kittle talk a while ago, right? Where Kittle, what'd you say, week 8, week 10, week whatever. Jones, week 8, week 10, week whatever. That's kind of what we expected with some of these guys. And they're recovering a lot quicker. And they're talking Jones week 1 or 2. They're talking Kittle week 1, week 2. So if Jones is back that early, I think some of the ADP has been pushed down because they didn't expect Jones back. Because if it's not Danny Dimes, who's out there, right? That's what scares me.
Riley Leonard, who I don't hate, he had a nice game against the Texans at the end of the year. Alec Pierce. So here's the wild thing. So wide receiver 34, super undervalued. And then we did our ADP versus Vegas segment a week ago. This is before the news dropped about his ankle surgery. We knew he had the ankle surgery. We thought it was a cleanup. They said 4 to 6 months. But his Vegas line was 925 receiving yards. Remember how I told you Ibuka was 825? Yeah. And he was going wide receiver 36, wide receiver 34, wide receiver 36. So what I do love about Alec Pierce, I hate drafting guys coming into the year injured, at least for my starting spots. But if this trends that he's going to miss, let's say, this first couple games and then be hampered a little bit early in the year, I could see him and Downs ADP flipping. And if I could get Alec Pierce at wide receiver 44 and I can have him on my bench, right, and then I get him for bye weeks, he's going to be the number one in this offense just based on his contract, based on he's the X receiver, right? Josh Downs.
Especially if you got an IR spot too.
Tyler Warren's probably the number one, but Alec Pierce it was weird. 47 catches and 1,000 yards last year. That's 20 yards a pop, bro. And his route tree was impressive. He actually leveled up as a route runner. And like I said, the money, I don't always follow the money, but in this case, it was a lot of money. Way overpaid. Terrible deal for the Colts.
Yeah, it was more than he should have got, in my opinion.
You know what? Good for you, Alec Pierce. They love him there in Indy. He is a consummate pro, a team guy. They love him in the building. So I'm about both these receivers.
That frees up how many targets with Pittman leaving too? And
120.
They're going to go to Pierce, Downs, and Warren.
And Pittman was an end zone hog last year. Remember, he had like 7 or 8 touchdowns, which is uncharacteristic for him. And dude, this is just a very narrow target touch tree here. And I feel like they don't need to do what they did last year to start the year. They could do 75% of that and they'll still be a top 15, top 12 offense. And you're getting value here And let's see the reports on Daniel Jones, but in a super flex, I am super happy with him as my quarterback too. If the reports are good, that he's, good to go for week 1, whatever that means. I mean, at least healthy enough to play.
I'm with you. I agree.
All right, my last team here, undervalued offenses. We have the Arizona Cardinals, and this is a weird one because they suck, and their division's really tough, but garbage time kings. And we have some guys going relatively high, but we also have some guys that are some value, and I do like Jacoby Brissett under center there for this potential fantasy circus team. So we have Jacoby Brissett going quarterback 30.
How do you not like 50 attempts a game?
I do like that. It's not going to be that high this year, but it's still going to be above average. I think Jacoby Brissett, quarterback 30, a big part of this is, especially in best ball, like he's probably not going to be playing in the fantasy playoffs. Like they're probably going to go to Carson Beck because they're going to suck just based on the fact they're in the hardest division of all time. And they're going to go 0-6 in their division most likely. But with Jacoby Brissett starting, I like the rest of this team at the ADPs. We have Jeremiah Love going running back 13, so outside the top 12. We have Marvin Harrison going wide receiver 33, Michael Wilson going wide receiver 43, and then Trey McBride going tight end 2. But his ADP is 26th overall right now in underdogs. So he's going into the 3rd round, kind of where he was going last year. So, and also they lost, I forget the guy's name, but Proctor or whatever, their 4th round defensive tackle they drafted, he's out for the year. So, like, this defense sucks. This defense is bad.
Yeah, McBride's outscoring receivers that are going ahead of him. So if you want to take that advantage at tight end, especially like a tight end premium league, one of those, absolutely reach and get him or Bowers. But I expect McBride to do exactly what he did last year, and he's perfectly fine where you're taking him. I don't think by the time we get closer to the season, I don't think he's going to be going there. I think he's going to be bumped up even a round higher. Harrison, you gotta. I kind of want to see it before I believe it, right? And you're guessing a little bit, and maybe putting some food on his plate that he hasn't always eaten. Wilson,
6th round though, 6th round for Harrison.
Man, I know you're a Wilson truther. I know he won some leagues for you last year. You were able to get him for nothing partway through the year. And it seems him and Brissett are the ones that have the rapport. And that's kind of the Brissett guy. I think it's going to be Brissett for at least half the year. And before they switch over to back, my concern is when they switch over to back, what happens to these pass catchers. I don't want to lose my wide receiver 3 who's been showing out in one of the better wide receiver 3s a couple weeks before the fantasy playoffs because they go to a guy that I have no faith in being an NFL quarterback.
So Michael Wilson is my boy, and no one was higher on him. I just was talking about him so much. I went back before this and I looked at all my championship teams, not the winning teams, but I was in 16 championship games last year out of 35 leagues. I had Michael Wilson on 14 of those teams. Yep. So like this dude made me so much money, got me there in so many of these leagues. All that being said, I prefer Marvin Harrison at value than Michael Wilson this year. I really do, because it's a 69th overall for Marvin Harrison and 93rd for Michael Wilson. I love the price on Wilson, but the price isn't very steep on Marvin Harrison. So I want to ask you this. Marvin Harrison or Brian Thomas? Full PPR.
Brian Thomas. I'm going with the better.
Whoa, you just said you hated Brian. So you really hate Marvin Harrison.
I did not say I hated Brian Thomas.
You said yes. You said you'd rather take Jacoby Myers at value.
Yes, on that team.
Jacoby Myers is a fringe wide receiver 3 at best. What's he going to do for you? Nothing. Brian Thomas could win your league, brother.
I don't have any faith in this Arizona team. I like LaFleur going there. I like the offensive-minded play caller that's going to be the head coach of that team. I just don't think you're going to see enough of it year one, especially with Brissett and back leading this team is my concern over there. And I haven't seen it from Harrison at all. Like you said, we saw it from Thomas his rookie year at least.
Dude, Marvin Harrison, they have to make Marvin Harrison a thing. They spent the 4th overall pick on the guy. And my theory, and it's a weird theory, but Marvin Harrison was given everything, right? He was touted from high school. His father is, an all-time great. And, Kyler Murray is a very polarizing player. I don't think players like playing with Kyler Murray. I think he's lazy. I don't think he's a leader. I think Marvin Harrison kind of checked out. That's my theory. I think it showed on tape. I don't think he didn't show that in Ohio State. He did not show that there in college. So I don't think Marvin Harrison's talent is what we were sold. It's not he should have never been drafted 4th overall. That is reserved for guys like Randy Moss and all-time players, right?
And Carnell Tate.
Yeah, okay. Carnell Tate. Jesus, that was a mistake too. But Marvin Harrison is going to have the targets, dude. 33. This is how you win leagues, and he has disappointed everybody in fantasy. We got to get to Jeremiah Love in a second, but Marvin Harrison's disappointed everyone in fantasy, partially because we were overvaluing him. Rookie year, 1-2 turn, second year, 3rd round, last year, 4th round. Like, dude, now you get the best price. It's very similar to Kyle Pitts, dude. Kyle Pitts fucked everyone a million times all those years. And last year, he finally went outside the top 12 tight ends, and he actually had a great year, 80-plus receptions. Marvin Harrison's finally going in a range where even if he bottoms out, he's going to meet this ADP because he scores 8 touchdowns a year when he's healthy. Last time I checked, if he scores 8 touchdowns at getting drafted a wide receiver 33, you return value. So that's his floor.
Yeah.
As bad as he's been, he has averaged a touchdown every other game. It's essentially he's right below. He's like 0.45 touchdowns a game in his career. That's elite stuff, man.
As soon as he gets Peyton Manning at quarterback, then I'll be a Marvin Harrison.
It's wide receiver 33. He's almost outside the fucking top 36, man.
It's not bad. But that division and that Arizona team, I'm scared too. I get it. I get why the general public's so low on them. But you got to go find these guys, and you got to look past the real life football and see what they do for fantasy.
All right, let's talk about Jeremiah Love. A couple comments about him, so we're about to talk him anyway. Real quick, I did bet Brian Thomas. What do you think Brian Thomas receiving lines at this year? Over, under yards for Brian Thomas. I want to get to these players that I bet. I want to see what you think and see how close I am or how far I am off.
Man, I got no idea. Vegas put him at what, 750, 800?
700. So I smashed that. What about, I got one for you here. Brock Bowers, what do you think they have him set at?
850, 900?
875. Nice guess. I put a big bet on Brock Bowers, guys. That's the easiest money ever. Last year, he had 6.
What about Mike Evans?
Didn't list him. He's not listed yet.
He's at like 800 something.
Is he? Okay. So last year, Brock Bowers had 680 yards receiving. He played 12 games, and he was hurt for 11 of them, and he was in the worst offense of all time. So last year, if he played a full amount of games, he would have eclipsed this number if he was hurt even. And this year he's healthy. That's the easiest bet in the world, guys. He can get this in 12 games. Smash that bet. Jeremiah Love, running back 13, Nico. Are you about this ADP? I know you don't really like this offense, even though they were great for fantasy last year. A lot of it was garbage time, but is that going to change? I think they're still going to have garbage time. I think they're still going to be a top 15 offense.
Yeah, garbage. Top 15 is a little steep for me, but garbage time doesn't necessarily mean running the ball either.
But Jeremiah Love's an elite receiver.
I know. And I saw Wilson eat, and I saw McBride eat. And if you're telling me Harrison's going to eat, I don't know that there's enough left for Love to be a huge pass catching asset. But given his talent, given where they drafted him, they're going to lean on him. They're going to try and run the ball. LaFleur is a good, young, smart offensive mind calling the plays there. So they're going to surprise some people. I think people are sleeping on Arizona. When we talked about our Vegas over underlines, Arizona was one of them that I think goes over their wins. They're at what, like 4.5 or something?
Yeah, 4.5 or 5.5.
So I don't hate it. I didn't see him going there, but there's nobody else that's going to get the work. Connor is done, right? I don't know what he's going to offer anymore if he can even stay healthy. And having a brain fart. Who's the other running back there?
Where?
In Arizona.
Tyler Algier.
Algier they brought in, yes.
Chase Connor. Trey Benson, possibly.
Algier has always found a way to get his, and I think it's going to be a big split between I don't know how you have him and Connor. Like, is Connor's just going to go or just retire or not do anything? But it's Algier, and Algier's what we've seen on him, 600-700 yards every year, easy.
So and the touchdowns, right? And the touchdowns.
Going to tap into that Love work? I don't know.
So I'll ask you a couple names here. Jeremiah Love or Breece Hall? Who do you want? Full PPR. This one's easy for me.
I'm going to go Breece Hall.
Ooh, no, I'm going Love. There's a committee there. And Jeremiah Love or Travis Etienne?
That one's tough for me, too. I'm going to go Etienne, I think.
Dude, I'm not a Love guy. I just know it's going to be rough early in the year. I think that the snap share is going to be rough. It's going to be like 60% for Jeremiah Love. But there's a point where I like Tyler Algier. He got paid a decent amount of money. He's still going to have a role. But Jeremiah Love is a weapon. That's what I love about him. He's not just a strict running back. This dude can be moved out to the slot. They can play both of them in the same backfield, right, and have Love run a little swing route. So I want the upside of Jeremiah Love.
A lot of projecting for a rookie to do a lot of things
it.
in the NFL at NFL speed that I'm not positive he's going to do. The shiny new toy syndrome, with what these guys are capable of. I love it. And you got to shoot your shots sometimes. So I'm not going to ding anybody for chasing it, but I think I'd rather see a guy, a known commodity sometimes.
Let me ask you this. What is the total touches if he plays, let's say 16 games? Let's say he misses a game. What is his total touch number? Is he in 300 touches this year?
No, I don't think so.
But dude, history tells us he's the 3rd overall pick, right? And
I
don't know why they made the pick.
What did he get last year?
I think he got 300.
Did he?
Yeah, dude. All these guys. I mean, the only one that didn't was Jahmyr Gibbs because David Montgomery was there. And you saw later in the year, they're like, okay, we had to give Gibbs more work. And I'm sorry, I like Tyler Algier a lot. He's not David Montgomery, right? Like David Montgomery is the coach's pet. He's a fan favorite. So I'm not reaching on Jeremiah Love. Early 3rd round, I see the upside, and I'm definitely taking him over Breece Hall, who's going to be in a timeshare. I do like the Jets offense, though. And then I like Travis Etienne as well. But give me the younger back that I feel like has the league-winning potential later in the year. It's going to be rough early on. You have to draft accordingly. You're not going to pull him out of your lineup to start the year. He's going to be in your lineup. But maybe take an extra running back. Maybe take some safer floor players. Maybe take some guys that project. Take a Josh Downs. Take some guys that you think will have more impact early in the year to kind of, even out the fact that Love might only be a RB2 early in the year, like a running back 20.
With what I saw Algier do in Atlanta with Bijan, who is a generational talent, proven through and through, and I mean top 2 running back in the league right now, Algier still ain't there. And it wasn't a great team, and it wasn't a great offense, and he had one of the best running backs in the league ahead of him. And if Love is not a top 2 running back right now, Algier's still going to eat there. I really believe he will, and that's my concern.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Love guy. I don't take him very much in best ball. I'm at like 5% on Love, which would tell you I'm 8% is average. I am way below board on Jeremiah Love. But there's a point where if he starts falling, if he goes to pick 28, I'm scooping that up, brother. Like, I am scooping that up. Now, I'm not taking him in the 2nd round, where I think that he's a guy, if you do 10 drafts with 10 different league mates, 10 different leagues, you might see wildly different ADPs for Jeremiah Love. Most of these guys will go within 1 or 2 picks, right? Derrick Henry will always go middle to end of the 2nd. You'll have Breece Hall going middle, early 3rd. I think you could see Jeremiah Love sometimes go 15th. I could see Jeremiah Love sometimes going 35th. And that's where I play a lot of leagues. If he falls to that middle 3rd round, I'm going to take him everywhere because
the way
want
he
young
plays,
players.
The athleticism that he has, the skill set that he has, he can develop into a Saquon or a Bijan type of dude. And I could be wrong, and he shows that sooner rather than later, and he's a league winner. And it's just tough for me in his rookie year on what I think is not a great team in a really tough division, where I don't expect them to run a ton. So you're looking for his pass volume to come through the pass, or his volume to come through the pass game, where you've got one of the best pass catching tight ends there is. And I think those guys take away from the running backs catching.
You know what I love about it, though, is that Ashton Genty, all things considered, last year had a pretty good rookie year. The problem was we were drafting Ashton Genty top 12, like top 12 overall,
That's
not
crazy.
12 running back. So now, like I'm predicting a similar year to Ashton Genty, right, where he comes on towards the end. You're getting essentially almost a round and a half discount, and I feel like that he has almost. I think he could eclipse what Genty did last year because I think he's a better player than Ashton Genty. I love Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty is a more sturdy player. He's better in the short yardage stuff. He's better at breaking tackles. But Ashton Genty is not really a game breaker.
Yeah,
he is pretty fast.
I don't hate that
Jeremiah Love is a game-breaking player.
No, I get your point. Looking at Genty last year and looking at where Love's at this year, given those teams, given those offenses, given the players that they are, it's a nice take, man. I like it.
Like Ashton Genty busted last year because where you took him. If Ashton Genty was taken running back 13 last year, we would all been like, that was a great pick. So, and again, it's not 1 + 2 = 3. I understand that, but the difference is Genty's a good pass catcher too, but Jeremiah Love is a little bit of a better pass catcher and definitely a more dynamic player. So the touchdown opportunities was the issue for Genty last year, and this is probably going to be an issue for Love this year. But this offense is much better than what we saw last year with the Raiders. Like, you can't debate that. That was, dude, literally Petey Sunshine had his fucking son as the offensive line coach. Like that was just such a dysfunctional team. And this is also a dysfunctional team, but there's a lot more talent on this offense. And they're going to have more touchdown opportunities. And he doesn't even need it. Jeremiah Love can score from 60 yards out. That's what I'm banking on.
Definitely goes to Arizona.
Yeah, and you have a LaFleur. You have a young coach that like he wants to make a mark on this team. And as much as I like Tyler Algier, maybe give Love like they're going to see it. They're going to see the difference. And it might take a couple weeks. Apparently, I'm a Love guy now. I think I talked myself into Jeremiah Love live on this program, which that's why I love these debates, man. That's why I love having you on. That's why our show is elite, because it's not just me, guys. Like as much as Smitty's pretty good in the fantasy football show, it's just him every single night. He doesn't want to listen to any of his comment sections because he'll just say you're an idiot. Like we like to learn. We like to have conversations with you, with the chat, with all the different co-hosts, and we want to talk ball and learn ball together and bring up points like the Genty point. Like it makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about it like that,
all of us get better, man. You're helping me get better. You know, it's a
vice versa, man.
Anybody who's tuning in is now worked the process with us, man. You talk through it, you figure it out. There's no known commodities. There's no hard takes or this is exactly what it's going to be. Let's have a discussion, and the people watching and listening can make their own decisions, and you and I can be swayed a little bit. So I love it, man. It's good stuff. I appreciate you, brother.
Problem is that everybody wants to plant. Like I'm about planting flags. That's why we do our pillar players list. We have 10 players, and even that's hard to like really plant 10 flags, because if I'm planting a flag, no, none of these things are 100%, right? I want to have at least like a 70%. Same with my bets. Obviously, my bet ratio is great because I don't bet 20 bets a week on the show. I do like 6 or 7, which might even be too many, but we want to be particular when we're really saying this is going to happen. There's not a lot of these like absolute takes because it should never be absolute. This is the weather, guys. This is fantasy football is the weather. We can have leans and we can, like I am very confident that TJ Hawkinson is going to crush his ADP. It's not a bold take because he's going tight end 21, but like those are the ones I'm more confident in. To say that I know Jeremiah Love's a top 5 running back, anyone that tells you that's a fucking idiot because they have no idea the usage. We don't know what this team's going to look like. We don't know how many games Jacoby Brissett's going to start. Like anyone that says they know that is lying to you, and you're going to lose money if you listen to them. Now, there's a chance that Jeremiah Love's a top 5 running back. There's also a chance he finishes at running back 17. Like to say that's not a chance is foolish.
And we don't want to walk the line and keep it bland and everyone agree with everything and spit out exactly what Fantasy Pro says either, because that's pointless. We got to see what we see with our eyes, and we got to put our takes out there, and we got to stand behind them.
Dakota says, if you don't plant a flag, have you even made a fantasy statement? Yeah, because we're trying to talk out like what's most likely to happen. But to plant a flag on every player and to say absolutes is a bad exercise, guys. And we're both value guys, man. Like I will take any single player at a certain ADP, and also with the build. The build matters too, right? We can't take all risky guys. We can't take all safe guys. You can't take a bunch of Chris Godwins and be like, I'm winning this league. No. You got to take a Jameson Williams if you're going to take a Chris Godwin, right? You can't take Lamar. You can't take Jaden Daniels and, reach on, Brock Bowers and take Jeremiah Love. Like we want to do that. And there's a chance that team wins, but we really need to, I don't know. I just feel like these exercises are very valuable just to talk things out. And the end of the year, that's when we come in with our plant flagging, right? Because we don't have enough information yet. In my opinion, we don't have enough information in June. We a lot of times don't have enough information in August.
Opinions. Like we're the next 2 months are figuring it out, man, before we start hitting all our redraft leagues.
And I can't wait. Mal, don't you want to be counseled about Tequan Thanet? No, I don't want to be counseled. And also the counselor will not counsel you. He will tell you in absolutes, Jeremiah Love's a top 5 running back. That's kind of the guy I'm referring to. And you know what? That is good for clickbait. And like the problem is I don't want, and maybe that's why our shows take us so long to get off Nick, because we don't just say shit to say shit. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I'm going to do with my drafts, right? I'm going to tell you the bets I'm making because I actually place them and I actually draft these guys. They're not always right. They're not always wrong, right? Like, but we don't know. I do really well in fantasy. Nico, you're a great football mind. You do really well in fantasy, but we don't win every league. We don't even win half the leagues. Like, let's be honest, man. Like, it's the way the fantasy football is also set up with the fantasy playoffs, which are a goddamn joke, right? We know it's a goddamn joke because it's a 1-game sample size. Guys get injured.
Yep.
It's messy.
It's tough, man. And what would be the point of having guests and co-host and all this other stuff if they all just agreed with you,
Exactly.
You get no value there, man.
Well, that's why a lot of those guys don't like having other people on their show, because they want it to be their show and they want it to be their takes, and they don't want to have to defend their points. They have their whatever, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and they don't want to have the rebuttal. Like when you said you hated Brian Thomas, I almost fell out of my seat today, just because the value's so good. But I understand the trepidation you have with Brian Thomas, and it's valid. I just think the ADP is just too goddamn juicy. Too juicy. All right, man, I'll get you out of here. You got to wake up early. I'm going to get a couple comments in, and then I'm going to dip as well. So, Nico, you are the best, man. We love having you on. Thank you for filling in for a night for Storey. You're going to see Nico every single Tuesday on this program once the season hits on. You'll see him quite a bit more before the season. He's going to be the regular Tuesday night guy. You might see him pop in on some Friday nights with Tom TD during the season as well.
You betcha, man. I can't wait. You got Taco Tuesdays with me.
Taco Tuesdays?
Oh my God, I love it, man.
I love it.
Don't think just because I got a lot of money, I'll give you taco flavored kisses, honey. Fulfill all your wishes with my taco flavored kisses. Taco, taco, burrito, burrito, taco, taco.
All right, buddy. Get some sleep, man. Appreciate you coming on as always.
Good night, gentlemen. Thanks so much for everything. Take care, Rob.
All right. Dakota says $500 redraft PPR, 6 for a passing touchdown league. Would you rather have Josh Allen in the 3rd round or T-Law 8th round and Purdy 9th round? I don't like taking 2 quarterbacks like that early, because then you have I would take 2 quarterbacks typically. If I take T-Law or Brock Purdy, I would back him up with Baker, a quarterback like that, without having too much draft capital there, because I would just go with T-Law or Purdy unless Baker really shows out. Those big leagues, man, if it was Josh Allen middle of the 3rd round, I'm in. I'm not taking him early 3rd round, which he's usually going to go a lot of times. I'm not taking him over Trey McBride and over possibly a Chris Olave, something like that in PPR. If it's PPR, right? I'm guessing it's PPR. Now, if it's a 6 passing touchdown league with half PPR, I'm pushing the quarterbacks up. The security of Josh Allen is awesome. It's awesome. But I think I'd prefer Allen, just because if I'm waiting for T-Law or Purdy, I'm just going to wait and take Bo Nix, wait and take Mahomes, wait and take Matt Stafford outside the top 12, whoever falls to me, and stack my roster. I can get those guys in the 12th round. So mid-3rd to late 3rd, it's Josh Allen easy. Early 3rd, I'm probably waiting. I think that's my answer. We talked about this comment, if Love falls to the 3rd round. Apparently in the conversation me and Nico had, I'm in on Jeremiah Love, apparently. I think that if he falls into the 3rd round, I am in. Right now his ADP is 24, like 24 and a half. So he's bleeding into that 2-3 turn. I prefer him at the 28, right? 28 overall, because I still kind of want to take McBride over him. I don't like taking early tight end, but I think I'm more in on Jeremiah Love than I first thought. So Vegeta says Marvin was round 3 last year. He's round 5/6 this year. Steele. He's ADP is 69 right now in an underdog. So that is the 6th round, dude. That is money. I agree. ESPN has Marvin Harrison as 196 PPR points, less than 200. That is crazy. Like I said, also Brian Thomas. I think those 2 guys are tied at the hip in terms of ADP situation. The fact that, Brian Thomas, the difference is Brian Thomas has actually showed us that he's been elite. He's put an elite season of film on tape. We have not really seen that from Marvin Harrison, but Marvin Harrison has never been – his worst year is not as bad as what Brian Thomas put on tape last year in the stats last year. So they're both tied. You know what? If you could take both of them and one of them fell, one of these guys is going to hit. One of these guys, Marvin Harrison or Brian Thomas, is going to smash. I see Marvin Harrison as more of a floor play. Then Brian Thomas is more inconsistent. I know Marvin Harrison will not bust at his ADP. There's a chance Brian Thomas busted his ADP. I'm not going to deny that, but I think Brian Thomas could also go nuclear, because I think that offense is better. And Trevor Lawrence is clearly better than Jacoby Brissett. And you're going to have Trevor Lawrence all year. We don't know how long Jacoby Brissett's starting. Brees or Javonte Williams. You know what? I'm going to go Javonte Williams, dude. In full PPR, I'm going to go Brees. Barely. Half PPR, give me Javonte Williams. His Vegas lines are way too high. 10.5 touchdowns, 975 rushing yards. That is his Vegas line, where Brees Hall's rushing touchdown number is 5.5. So full PPR, it's Brees by a hair. Half PPR is Javonte Williams by a hair. But Javonte Williams is going 5 or 6 picks after Brees Hall. Yeah, he is. You know what? Smitty runs a great show. His production value is amazing. I do give him some props for what he does. He's just kind of a dick to people. Like I just see him being such an ass to like certain people in the comment section. And I'm not for that, man. Like if you're going to be an ass to me, then maybe I'm actually going to kill you with kindness. But people like him, man. Obviously he gets 100 times more views than I do. And yeah, it's, I'll listen to Smitty over the counselor all day though. Cause I think Smitty actually knows ball. And I love how aggressive he is, and his takes are very hot, and he's very convicted on his takes. The counselor is also convicted on his takes, but his takes are typically, this guy's a rookie, he's good, draft him. That's all you're going to get from him. And he's not playing, he's not legit. Like, Smitty is at least legit. So, Smitty 100 times over the counselor. Hold on, I got a guy in here. Mod me right now. Hot Tub. Yeah, man, you're awesome. Hot Tub, you're great. Again, Hot Tub, I've told you this before. My mother is 66 years old. Maybe 67, 66, 65, whatever. She's up there. Good for you, man. Go shoot your shots. I'll hang out with your dad, man. I can go right back at you. Your dad's probably a handsome guy. So congratulations. I'm not giving you a mod. Bye. That guy's cool. He's cool. What if the Bears run again this year and they don't have another 1,000-yard wide receiver? They have the hardest schedule and the hardest passing schedule, and they play in the Windy City. That's a debate. No, and by the way, the Windy City is called the Windy City because of politics. It's actually not that windy here. It's a little windy, but that's not why they call it the Windy City. That would also mean Caleb Williams would not be a 4,000-yard passer, and the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer ever, which is really shitty. But I am going to trust in Ben Johnson here. I am not about taking Caleb at ADP. I think he's a little overvalued. I think all those guys kind of are. I have them all in the same bucket. I will take him if he falls to the end of that tier. I see the upside in Burden, and I actually think Rome's a value if the foot injury is fine. But they will lean on the run. This is a Ben Johnson system. He is a disciple of Dan Campbell, and they want to establish the run. We have 2 good running backs. So the Bears' offensive schedule is tough. But again, guys, looking at schedule right now, we're so far out. These teams are going to change. Teams change year to year. Teams change week to week. So I'm not too worried about the schedule. I am just worried about regression. But the reason I'm not as worried is because I do trust in Ben Johnson. He has shown, same with Liam Cohen, same with Kellen Moore. These guys are the next generation of offensive coaches. And Ben Johnson is a big sample size if you go back to Detroit. And that Detroit offense sputtered a little bit last year without him. So I think he's proven that he is that guy. Let's see. You're about to be banned. Are you talking about the hot tub guy being banned? You're talking about me being banned. I've been on really good behavior, man. Yeah, he's that guy's awesome. That kid is back on the escalator again. He's always on the escalator again. You're good, Hetzer. You're good. You know what? He is sad. We need to give that guy a hug. Like, he's got nothing better to do, like you said. So, good for him. Yeah, Darth. I mean, it is pretty windy here, bro. Like, it's not, like, calm, but it's not necessarily, like, the windiest place. Now, in the city, it's a little windier because it's off the lakefront. But I am I grew up in Chicago land my whole life, and I've heard many people tell me, look it up. I'm pretty sure it's the Windy City because of the politics, because our politics are rough, brother. Rough. In honor of Hot Tub Guy, Hot Tub Ho, let's draft. I mean, I guess we definitely did not really get close to the goal. It's been a rough show. I think we had like 80 people in here, and we just did an amazing segment, me and Nico. A lot of times there were 6 people watching, which is a little discouraging. But if Mal dropped me that $5 just to draft, I guess I have to. So yeah, we will do a draft. I'm gonna have to make a new stream though, because this one is in vertical and I need to make it set up and get my computer ready. So anyone that wants to draft, let me know. You got to give me about 10 minutes, guys. And then I will set up the stream. We will do an underdog, probably a puppy. I think there's not a lot of tournaments on there. So, yeah, we'll do one. Who's in? Are you in, Hetzer? I'm guessing Hetzer's in. I'm guessing Mouth is in. Anyone else want to draft with us? Darth. Who else? We're going to do underdog. DraftKings takes too long. Those are just, and it's also takes a long time to get in the lobby. So let's do underdog. So I'll set up the stream. I will send it out in the Discord, and then anyone else in here, we're going to move over to the other stream, and it'll be on in about 10 minutes. So give me 10 minutes. We'll start at 11:10 p.m. Central. So 10 minutes from now. All right. That's it for me. Thank you to Nico. Thank you, Mouth, for the donations. You're the man. By the way, guys, Downtown Sports, link in the description. They're also on YouTube right now. Check them out. Downtown Sports. Pull this up for you guys. Give them a like. Give them a lesson. Oh, he'll give you a lesson. Just watch them, and then you don't have to subscribe now. Just watch them, and then you'll subscribe. Where sports come home. 23 platforms, also on YouTube. Give them a listen. Give them a like. And, all right, we're out of here. Love your life. Stay positive and respect each other. We'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
You just seem like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
I'm sorry, what? Nothing. Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know. You nicknamed me Pistol, and I just called you Jobin. It means nothing. I'm drunk. I'm gonna call a cab.
All right, man. You have my number, yeah?